chat. How are we doing this fine spooky day night? I did not prepare an actual chatting screen, so we're just gonna be on the starting soon screen for a little bit. But yes, hello. Bedroom, hello, how are you? Yeah, we're doing something a little special today. Figured I'd do some shiny hunting, but also read some Pokemon creepypastas. It's just a little something, because I don't really have a horror game. Nothing really I think I can either get or that I haven't already played, you know? Either way, got a very special shiny hunt today. Let's go ahead, swap things over. The thing needs to go on. There we go. So, you may be wondering, what are we shiny hunting today? You know, maybe things that come to mind. A ghost type like, I don't know, Pumpkaboo, Duskull, Litwick. I don't know what ghost types are in Sword and Shield. But yeah, those are all incorrect. We're not even going for a ghost type, believe it or not. Suddenly you're pink, yeah. This is like an old concept for a horror version of my Sona that I had for a while. But yeah, no. We're not going for anything truly spooky, but we're going for Trapinch. Now you may be wondering, why Trapinch? And that actually ties in with our first story. Let me get some music on. Good old Lavender Town. Yeah, so this hunt actually ties in with our first story here, which is going to be Tommy Boy by Sparkling Demon, the rewrite. Had to go and get permission for this because apparently Versa doesn't want people reading it without permission or reading it publicly without permission. I get it, you know, credit and all that. Yeah, so I have permission for this, don't worry. I'm good to do this, but either way, why don't we go ahead and get started? If you want to read along, it should be on the Creepypasta Wiki. Pokemon Creepypasta Wiki, I think is what it is. Yeah, that's where I'm reading it from, so if you want to follow along, you're allowed to do that. You know, pull it up on your own and read as well. Yeah, let's go ahead and start this off. I'm just gonna be biking on this bridge. This is usually my Masuda method route. Just going through the bridge and back. Might need to turn down the... That's not where the menu is. Where's my... There we go, sound effects. Turn that down to 6. That should be fine. Yeah, either way, let's go ahead. Start actually reading this story. Don't know how good I'll be able to multitask with this, but let's go ahead. Oh, already first day. Alright. It was one of those sleepovers, just me and my bestie, when we got bored and had a dumb idea. Well, she got the brilliant idea anyways. Apparently, she thought it would be fun to try and perform one of those summoning rituals, even though she knew anything and everything paranormal and gave me nightmares for weeks. Which is why I think she wanted to do it so bad. Of course, I wouldn't willingly go along with the ritual, so a friend had to persuade me by offering her Darkrai plushie, which I had coveted for a few weeks now. I remember wondering if the risk of eternal damnation was worth it for just a toy. Apparently, the answer was yes, since I eventually went along with this freaking idea. The requirement for the ritual was paper, pencil, a candle, 6 random dolls, and 60 minutes of your time. It had to be in a dark house or in the middle of the night. We did it around midnight after everyone else was asleep. First step was put the 6 dolls in a circle. Then, draw a summoning circle in the middle of the paper and put it in the center of the circle of dolls. After placing it on the floor, recite any entity you may enter. Wait for a while, around a minute, then prick your finger and put your bloody fingerprint in the middle of the summoning circle. Recite, by blood we are bound. Then you turn off all the lights, if any are still on, and light your candle and recite, whomever loses may never leave. Afterwards, you stumble around in the dark and play hide and seek with whatever you just summoned, if you even successfully summoned anything. You must switch the room you're hiding in around every 10 minutes or else you will be automatically found by default. If the candle doesn't blow out within the hour, then you win. Allegedly, whatever spirit you summon will be bound to your eternal service. If it does blow out, then you've been found and you lose. Whatever happens afterwards depends on whatever spirit, peaceful or malevolent, that you summoned. While me and my friend were huddled in the laundry room, whispering and giggling about stupid things, the candle flickered out. I promptly flipped and hid in the corner with my hands over my head, waiting for the worst to happen. My friend laughed at pathetic little me. After about 5 minutes of trying to convince me I wasn't going to die, she told me she had blown out the candle herself. Made me feel a little bit better, but even though I still didn't believe it. So the dark white plushie I received the next day helped wash my worries away. It wasn't enough to wash away everything else that was about to happen. Later on that day, my friend left. Later in the day, my friend left. My little sister had begged me to let her play my Pokemon Emerald. I let her, since all she did was pretty much give free training to my Pokemon. I was watching TV and a bit peeved when she ran into the room and started nagging me about a green Trapinch. So I waved her off. It took me a few seconds before I realized my grave mistake and quickly snatched my Game Boy back. I was pleasantly surprised to see my sis had somehow managed to find a shiny Trapinch. I told her to back off and let me handle this, as I wasn't about to let her try and catch it, although things looked bad as my Pokemon were all too strong to weaken it. But I was feeling confident with over 40 Ultra Balls in stock, along with a few backups, so I kept throwing and throwing until one of them worked. Trouble was, stubborn Trapinch. I accidentally went inside. Trouble was, this stubborn Trapinch didn't want me as its trainer. Might not have been able to weaken it, but still chewed through nearly every one of my Pokeballs. I was awash with horror at the thought of failing my first ever shiny. That's when my sister offered to help catch it for me. I didn't want to hand it over to her, but then my mind rationalized it by thinking that if she failed it, losing the Trapinch would be her fault, not mine. Shocked again as she handed me back the Game Boy less than a minute later, with a brand new shiny Trapinch in my party named Tommy Boy. The only response I could think of at first was, Tommy Boy? Why name it that? Because it's a boy, and I wanted to name it Tommy, so Tommy Boy. I didn't even want to know what went on in my sister's head, but quickly stopped caring, and all I could do was just stare at my newfound shiny. I went to immediately test him out and see what he could do against a wireless Sandshrew. I tried to fight, but got this refusal instead. I tried to attack the Sandshrew again, but I just kept getting the same message. This is a load of crap. Oh, I can make him attack! My sister stole the Game Boy back and then proceeded to defeat the Sandshrew with no further issue. What the? How did you do that? My sister gave me a stupid grin. He listened to me because I'm his mommy. Sure, whatever, I thought privately to myself. I was happy to let her train this Trapinch into a Flygon for me. Anyway, I was puzzled by its behavior to say the very least, and decided not asking anything would be better for my health, and just kept watching TV. Thought she would grow bored of training the same Pokemon, but no. For the rest of the day and deep into the night, they worked tirelessly to gain experience for Tommy Boy. Wonder how someone could stand to train the same Pokemon for so many hours without getting bored of it all. Finally, at around 11 p.m., she had to go to bed. Willingly, she saved the game and turned it off, but not before saying goodnight to Tommy Boy and kissing the Game Boy goodnight. I was still allowed to stay up longer, so as soon as she was in bed, I quietly grabbed my Game Boy out from under her bed sheets. Emerald was already in, so simply switched the game on. Once the game was loaded, I saw that Tommy Boy was the only one in the party for some reason. He was already evolved into a Flygon, and a level 66. Too bad she had only interest in training Tommy Boy. So much so that she decided to stuff all my other team members in the PC. I started to leave the desert, where my sister had last saved, when I ran into a wild ball toy. A lonely sighed as Tommy Boy came out sparkling. Then my expression became a bit more serious. A freaking pixel better listen to me this time. I clicked on Fight. He had new moves: Crunch, Dragon Breath, Sandstorm, and Hyper Beam. I selected Hyper Beam and desperately hoped that he would obey. I held my breath. Tommy Boy refused to attack. Dang it, I yelled at the screen. Tommy Boy got hit with an attack, which didn't do much damage. I need to stop going into the door. I kept cursing at the Pokemon. I can't believe I had a shiny in the palm of my hands and it wouldn't even listen to me. I selected Dragon Breath, despite knowing he wouldn't obey anyways. Tommy Boy wants his mommy. I gawked at this line of text. I surely hadn't seen any Pokemon do that before. I almost wanted to laugh, but the way that line was written almost sounded funny. I was off-put and confused. Tommy Boy got hit with another attack. Come on, can't you at least show some pity for your aunt? I spoke aloud to the game, like my sister had started doing. Tommy Boy offered me no pity and kept refusing. I didn't want to deal with him getting knocked out, so I just turned the game off and begrudgingly went to bed. The next morning, I found my sister leaning back in a chair, contentedly playing the Game Boy. I realized that meant she snatched it from my room while I was asleep, which I guess was an equal exchange. I asked her if anything weird was happening with the Game Boy, but she said all was fine. Then she asked me why I was playing on the Game Boy last night. Because it's my game? I should still be able to play it too. She eyed me. Just don't mess with Tommy Boy again. Just because you're his aunt doesn't mean he likes you. She immediately changed her threatening disposition by cheerily calling out, "Oh, good boy, Tommy! You showed that Sandshrew! You make Mommy so proud!" I decided to shrug it off. I wasn't about to get into an argument with my sister about a video game. A few days into this, I was over her shoulder watching her play. She was in the desert and kept battling Pokemon there and over again. Tommy Boy acted like a normal Pokemon and did nothing unusual. I realized I have not been updating the counter. This is a lot to go keep track of. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna ignore the counter for now. There's way too much for me to keep track of. Yeah. Why do you only battle Pokemon in the desert? Because Tommy Boy only likes to battle Pokemon here. Kept on playing as if everything was normal. After a moment, I thought of another question. Why will he only obey you and not me? I told you, I'll only listen to his mommy. It's my game he's on, so I should be his mommy. Shouldn't I? How does he know you're his mommy? My sister paused for a moment. After a moment, she responded, Tommy Boy says screw you. He giggled while I gave up and left fuming. However, days turned into weeks. And my sister had been spending our entire summer vacation so far just sitting in her room. Apparently she had started neglecting to eat or drink anything and would only ever fall asleep when she passed out, Game Boy still in her hands. It started getting so bad that my mom told me at one point she threw up blood. I tried taking the game away from her, but it screeched at us like she was possessed and tore the whole house apart trying to find it. Mom said they were arranging for her to see a therapist and get an opinion on what the heck we should do. For the meantime, she was allowed to keep the game and to make things easier for everyone until getting an appointment. But I wasn't satisfied with that. I needed to intervene. One night, I decided to work up the nerve to confront her about her addiction. Found her in her room, as always. She was on the bed, with the covers over her head. I didn't think she was sleeping, but quiet sounds of the Game Boy gave her away. I pulled the sheets away from her, and she hissed briefly at me before continuing, with her eyes glued to the screen. I hardly recognized my happy-go-lucky sister. She looked half dead. I tried holding a conversation with her, but all I got were just and it's fine. The only way I could get her to talk to me was to attempt to take the game away, to which she immediately responded, No, he's my baby! He needs me! My sister screeched at me. It's an inanimate object. It doesn't need anything. I yelled back at her, clutching her arm that was holding the Game Boy. I managed to rip the Emerald cartridge out of the game while it was still running, causing it to let out horrible screeching sounds. Then pretended to throw it out an open window into the darkness outside our house, to which my sister immediately pushed me onto the floor and jumped out into the yard after it. Picking myself up, I noticed she had dropped my Game Boy too, so I discreetly plopped the game back to the system and stuffed it in my pocket. Playfully closed the window behind my sister. She had come back inside once she realized what the game was doing to her. What was this game doing to her, I wondered. Once my sister had collapsed from exhaustion and been carried back to bed by my confused dad, to whom I longingly explained I had no involvement in this, saying that I would find out for myself. When he booted up the game, I was in the middle of my secret base on Route 120. Checked my party to only find Tommy Boy, and a whopping level 100. Since it had only taken her a day to get him to level 66, she must have reached 100 long ago. Still been playing all this month. Was she seriously doing the same battles over and over, despite him not being able to go any higher? When I exited the party screen and was back in the base though, a circle of 6 Pokédolls were around me that I hadn't noticed before, which frankly creeped me out. Any entity may enter. When I tried to move, a text box popped up saying, any entity may enter. A strange red circle appeared in the middle of the circle of dolls, and quickly realized I didn't want anything to do with what was about to go down. I tried to step away, but another text box appeared. You may never leave. I tried running for my dear life out the exit, but I was stopped. A shiny Flygon appeared in the middle of the circle. Let out what I assumed was its cry, albeit I was a bit too horrified for my life at that moment to care much for details, and the game froze. I shut the game off and stared at it for a second. Then suddenly every memory of what I had done early in the summer came flooding back at once. I knew exactly what Tommy Boy was now, and I was absolutely terrified. I wanted to hold myself, cry my eyes out. What are you doing? Don't give me an ad. The scariest thing. Ads. I wanted to hold myself, cry my eyes out, and throw this game into the woods where no one would ever find it, but then I thought about my sister. Thought about how if I didn't get rid of Tommy Boy now, things would probably get worse, and soon I'd probably wake up to find my little sister stabbing herself to death. Or me. Through my tears, I turned the game back on. Just you and me now, Tommy. Rematch. Double or nothing. If he won, he could take us both, but if I won, he would take a sorry demon hide back to whatever it was he came from. He seemed keen on my offer as the game started up with no problems. Once the game was up and running, I found my character in the middle of a dark cave. I instinctively went to my party to make someone use Flash, but I remembered more than likely Tommy Boy was going to be there. I braced myself, but I was pleasantly surprised to find there were just some random Pokemon instead. Of course, I didn't have the HM for Flash, and the TM for Dig, or any escape rope. Wonderful. So I stumbled around in the dark, trying to find my way out of this mess. Kept bumping into walls and rocks, climbing up and down countless ladders. There's no exit in sight, or any trainers in sight for that matter. In fact, I hadn't run into any wild encounters either until I came to the conclusion that there was only one Pokemon I would be running into here. I should avoid it like the plague. Spamming Super Repel going to protect me from a 100 demonic Flygon? Probably not, but couldn't be too careful. After some time, nowhere near an hour, I found myself in a small room that had nothing in it. I had to go back the way I came, but I was stopped. The character wouldn't move. It started to tense up again. The light surrounding me in-game was snuffed out, and all that could be seen was darkness. I was about to turn the game off before something happened, but... Oh, okay. I was about to turn the game off before something happened, but before I could, something happened. Text in red popped up with Flygon cry to accompany it. The game froze again. Found you. No! I yelled desperately, flickering the game off and on again. One chance! Give me one more chance! Instead, when I loaded the file, I was met with a glitchy, pixelated mess of a screen, flashing multicolored lights, playing the loudest beeping noise I'd ever heard in my life that set my ears and eyes ringing. I quickly shut off the game and stared at the empty screen in disbelief for I don't know how long. And I lost the game? I couldn't accept that. I was going to play this game all night if I had to. One of us would be leaving tonight, and it wasn't going to be me. Bracing myself, I tightly closed my eyes and powered the game on again. It took me another cacophony of buggy sounds and flashing lights, but surprisingly, I was able to boot up my save file just fine. But unfortunately, I didn't get the round 3 of hide and seek that I had vainly asked for. Instead, I was at the bottom of Mount Pyre. Still had the same team as before, unable to fly or surf away from this nightmarish set of circumstances I'd been put in. I don't know what Tommy Boy was getting at, or why he wanted what he wanted from me now. But I knew the only way to understand exactly what I was dealing with would be to play along, just for now. The only option left was to climb Mount Pyre. But a mounting suspense that kept rising each floor I went to, although didn't know why. Maybe it was because every floor, even indoors, were all unusually foggy. However, the wild Shuppet started to make quick work of my low-level Pokemon. And then I got the sudden idea that maybe this wasn't such a bad thing after all. If my entire party fainted, I could be sent back to a Pokemon Center and escape the boundaries of Tommy Boy's game. When they all fainted, though, I didn't get sent back. And I was still trapped on Mount Pyre. All the Pokemon that were protecting me were gone now. Still ran to Shuppet, except I kept sending out a large question mark where Pokemon should have been. I kept whiting out, only to return to the position I'd started the battle in. After a nerve-wracking climb through the graveyard, reached the top. Surrounding the pedestal at the top were 6 Pokeballs. I checked each one, a picture of the Pokemon would pop up. It seemed really familiar, and I soon realized that all the Pokemon here were part of the team I was just using. After I checked the 6 Pokemon, I found my character to be trapped in the center of a pedestal with no way out. I frantically mashed the D-pad in hopes of finding some way to escape. In the midst of my panic, a glowing red circle materialized on the ground, connecting all the Pokeballs surrounding the pedestal, me still in the center. I remember at that moment thinking, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, and I wholeheartedly believed I was going to. Then a large text box in all red with a Flygon cry popped up. You may never leave. That right there sealed the deal. Wasted no shred of time pulling out that Emerald cartridge and cutting into an unrecognizable pile of green plastic with my scissors. In my desperation, I brushed the remains of the cartridge into my trash can, wrapped up in the trash bag, and went to the expense of escaping through the window and throwing it into the woods. Screw littering, screw the police, I didn't want that thing in my house. Especially screw Tommy Boy. Screw his little game, screw the thought of him having any sort of control over me. The only way to win is not to play. Made sure no one would ever play this game again. Next morning, my much more well-rested little sister asked where my Game Boy was, and I was about to tell her she was never allowed to touch that thing for as long as she lived, but then she asked to play Mario Party Advance on it. I was baffled, to say the least, but had no problem in it and let her play it. I had no signs of becoming obsessed and got bored of playing it after an hour, so I was relieved and assumed the worst was over. You can be sure that I am not and never will plan on performing any more summoning rituals anytime soon. Thankfully, my little sister has gone back to being completely normal. If anything, her only sign of change is that she's getting into that girly stage. I get Pokemon plushies and sit them all in a circle and play Tea Party with them in her room. At least that's what I think she's doing with them. Doesn't matter to me, though. I'm busy with my own things. I'm happily content with my dear Darkrai plush that took entirely too much effort out of my life to obtain. I feel really bad for neglecting him in these past few weeks, but it's okay. I won't be giving any more of my time or attention to anyone else except my little baby. And that's the end of that story. Number 1. Yeah, that's, I guess, a little bit of backstory for this shiny hunt I'm doing. Yeah, shiny Trapinch is just one that I've wanted to get for a while now. And really just because of this story. I think it was like a few years ago. Which I don't know if that was before Sword and Shield came out or during it, but either way, I got like back into a creepypasta phase sometime during like I think my sophomore year of high school. It wasn't too long ago. Yeah, and then I got reminded of all the Pokemon creepypastas, and I decided, you know, Shiny Trapinch, Tommy Boy's a thing. I want to try and get one of those. So yeah. That's story number 1. Let's switch up this music a little bit. No, I already switched up a little bit. But we ought to change things up for next one. I'm probably gonna have a little bit of a break time here, just so that I can do this a little bit more efficiently. Yeah, it's really hard to multitask focusing on reading a story and focus on, you know, doing basic movement. I think I can still relatively see where I'm going, but it's very small and not at all in my main focus, but yeah, I'm gonna get next story queued up for when we do that. And I guess for now, let's just get some downtime. I don't quite know how long I'll go for. Thinking either hit 9 o'clock or hit, whenever, whatchamacallit, whenever we get the shiny. But yeah. And my basic method for the pseudo-method hunting is just to replace Pokemon, replace the already hatched Pokemon, I should say, with the eggs. Then of course also get a Flame Body Pokemon to replace them. Yeah. I got my next story all queued up. Reading does really take a lot out of me. Not really used to talking in that much, so... No, I do not want to give you a nickname, please, and thank you. Yeah, I know these can usually take a while. I mean, my shiny Ponyta hunt that I did a while ago made me have like a bunch of eggs that I need to get. It took over like 30 boxes or something. I don't know how many boxes are actually in the PC, but I know I had to painstakingly go and release all of them. I don't remember if that was before or after the like mass release in home. But yeah. Either way, I should actually go and get some of these, even though some of them haven't hatched yet. They do come really fast, the eggs. So honestly, I can really just do some loops here and yeah, I'm all ready. Don't really need to go far. Yeah, the bridge might not be the best. I can just do loops here at the daycare. Wait for the daycare lady to get a new one. Only thing is they might hatch a bit quicker than I'm able to get them, but no, we can get them pretty quickly either way. Yeah, I really can just do like a circle. Can't I? guess now we can go ahead and go on with our next story. I want to make sure the music isn't too loud and like overpowering. I don't think it is, it shouldn't be. Put it down a little bit just in case. A couple more decibels. Yeah, so our next story is actually also going to be a very classic kind of story, kind of creepypasta. It's actually the basis for my horror design for my Sona. And it's actually going to be Lost Silver. I'd say this is probably one of the more well-known creepypastas in terms of like Pokemon creepypastas. I think it's like the first one most people would think of, I guess it's the right term. But yeah, there's a very specific Pokemon in here that was inspiration for my Sona, so I decided, you know, let's do that. Leopard Boy, hello! I'm good. I like getting shinies on my own, but thank you for the offer. Yeah, let's go ahead and start up Lost Silver. Here we go. Get a sip of drink here. There we go. You see, I am a simple college student living alone in an apartment. I was very enthusiastic about the release of Pokemon Heart Gold Soul Silver here in the States. Purposely locked myself out of all media and the internet aside for school purposes. It means no 4chan, no BV/B/, I don't know what that is. No Bulbapedia, etc. Why would you be going on Bulbapedia? As I was busy with the school year and being poor at the time, I wasn't able to buy Soul Silver on its launch date. After my school year ended, I ordered Soul Silver on Amazon. However, it would take a week for it to arrive. Said that during that time I would replay my Crystal version on my Game Boy Color. However, I realized that long ago my mom threw it away because I told her the save went dead, and very upset about it then. She also threw away my Silver version, so all I have is my Game Boy Color. As such, I set out to GameStop and bought a used Silver version, as it's the only Pokemon game left that they have for the GBC. $10? Really cheap. Went home and started up for a nostalgia trip. However, that's where things started getting bizarre, and most likely the reason why you read this. The Game Freak logo started up as normal, but just froze there. Thought the cartridge was just errored or something, so I turned it off and on. Same thing happened. Tried pressing A and start over and over, all of the buttons. Eventually, the logo vanished, and there was a black screen for about 5 seconds. Suddenly, rather than going to the usual menu screen, I was already in the game in a previous save file. Which was odd, as I was expecting all these cards to have been wiped by the poor battery. Either way, I wasn't complaining. They would have chosen the continue option to see what the previous guy did anyways. First up, checked his trainer information. It was just ... He didn't have much originality. Checked his profile, and apparently he had 999 hours and 99 minutes put into the game, with all 16 badges. What is that? Okay, 99,999.9 Pokédolls and all 251 Pokemon on the Pokédex. Thing is, he apparently had Mew and Celebi logged also. I'm guessing he either used a Game Genie or was really hardcore Pokemon player back then. Why do you not have any new eggs? Come on. Check this Pokemon and see what a kick-butt team he had. To my surprise, I saw 5 unknowns and a 6th Pokemon named Hurry. I'm thinking this must be some cruel joke by the person who last played the game, but decided to check the profiles of those Pokemon anyways. As expected, they were different letters of unknown, all level 5. A bit shaky with my unknown alphabet at the time, but I identified the word spelled out to be leave. As for a 6th Pokemon, it turned out to be a Cyndaquil. Mind you, this is before there were individualized Pokemon icons. Cyndaquil looked normal, but it was level 5 with only 1 HP left, with only 2 attacks, Leer and Flash. Don't know why they named him Hurry, but at the time I just disregarded it. The most eerie thing was that, despite my volume being at max, none of the Pokemon he had said their usual cries. It was pure silence. Enough of the TMI closed it. Parked in what appears to be a room inside Bellsprout Tower. But for some reason, there were no NPCs around. Even more eerie was that the pillar in the middle didn't move at all. It was just leaning on its side. There was no music at all, and there was no exit or ladder. Or at least I thought there wasn't. I walked around for a few minutes, but can't seem to find a way out. This was certainly not a room I've seen in Bellsprout Tower before. I tried checking my items for an escape route, but it was completely empty. There weren't any wild Pokemon either. Finally, I managed to find a ladder, which turned out to be behind the pillar. The screen turned black, and the music finally started playing. That sudden chill as I recognized the melody that I heard to be the theme here when you listen to the radio at the ruins of Alph, where the unknown are at. I immediately realized that it wasn't a loading transition, but that I was in a dark room and indeed flash. Before I took care of that, though, I immediately checked my Pokegear to change the radio to something more pleasant, but turns out there was no radio card, even a phone nor time cards. There was only a map in which Gold, from earlier, and I will call him Gold from now on, just walking in a mist of black. I recall that Cyndaquil has Flash, so I turned off my Pokegear and made Cyndaquil use Flash. I didn't see any message saying hurry use Flash or anything like that. The room just became lit just like that, and I soon regretted it. The room was chilling blood red with the linear gray path heading south. The ladder I used to go up down was not there at all. I had no choice but to head south. The screen got darker every 20 steps I made, until I finally made it to the end, which appeared to be a sign. I read the sign, which said, "Turn back now." I was only asked to answer yes or no, but there was no question asked. I chose yes, and they do not know what I was asking, but the screen went black again, making a ladder climb sound. The unknown radio music stopped, and in a few seconds was placed by the not as creepy Pokeflute radio music. I was in another dark room, but held my breath and used Flash again. Suddenly it said, "The Hurry has fainted," which is odd since I recall that there was no status conditions like poison on him, and clearly wasn't in a battle. I checked my Pokemon quickly, and suddenly he is no longer in my party. In fact, after a bit of investigating, none of my Pokemon are there, but are instead all replaced with level 10 Unknown. I did the same thing as before and spelled out the Unknown. My then team of Unknowns spelled, "He died." Either way, after that creepy change, the room was lit to reveal myself in a very small room that appears to be only 4 squares big. The walls of that room are gray bricks, as if I was inside something that was hollowed out. Inside that room appears to be a bunch of graves similar to the ones in Pokemon Red and Blue. Walked around the small room and pressed A, but nothing happened. I already concluded that this was clearly a hack game and some sadistic fricks sold it to GameStop. However, my curiosity kept me going. I checked the trainer profile of ... again, only to find out that the sprite of Gold was missing his arms. It also seems to appear less smug, but rather seems more sad and empty in a way that I don't know how to describe. For some reason, it also now said they had 24 badges, which is clearly impossible. After a few minutes of aimless wandering, the character suddenly spun around and did the escape rope spinning animation. Instead of flying up, though, my character spun downwards slowly, as if sinking. After that screen, the music stopped. After finally landing the overworld sprite of Gold, it's colored differently now. Instead of the usual red color he dons, he simply appears white now, including his skin. If he came straight from the colorless Game Boy games, placed to a colored background of the Game Boy Color. Checked his profile, and now, well, that was as white as his overworld sprite. He has lost his legs, and what appears to be bloody tears from his eyes. It also says he now has 32 badges, which now starts to disturb me, as this change of number seems to represent something important. I also checked my Pokemon, which this time contains 5 Unknowns and a 100 Celebi without a nickname. The Unknown are this time leveled 15 and spelled out dying. Check the Celebi's profile. It's a shiny Celebi, except there's only half the sprite. 1 leg, 1 arm, 1 eye. It only has 1 attack. Parish Song. The area I was in itself was a sprout tower with the immobile pillar as before, except everything is apparently red now. I walked north for what felt like forever. Eventually I finally encountered some generic men and women NPCs. They were all lined up to the side, just facing a long, slantish pillar in the middle. They were also white, and nothing happens when I try to speak to them. I kept on going north until eventually the pillar finally appears chopped off, with transparent red in that spot. Went up to red and, without even pressing any, was suddenly engaged and finally in a battle. Music starts again, which sounds like the unknown radio music again, but played backwards. Bull's battle's back sprite matches his front one with the bloody eyes, white skin, and lack of arms. A red sprite was the same as before and gold silver crystal, except transparent. The text simply said, "Wants to battle," as if he has no name. And both of us only have one Pokemon each, which is weird as I swore as I had 6 with the unknowns. The shiny Celebi came out, conveniently with half a sprite for the back sprite also. The shiny noise and animation was different, and it made sound like multiple screech attacks used consecutively. Red sent out a seemingly normal male Pikachu, except he's level 255 and his sprite seems sad and he has tears in his eyes. Rather than the usual fight item Pokemon Run menu, I was only given the option to use the attacks. Since Celebi only has one, I chose it. Naturally, since Pikachu was level 255, he went first. Pikachu used Curse, lowering his speed and increasing his other stats. I'm not even sure if Pikachu could use Curse. Celebi used Parish Song. In 3 turns, both Pokemon get KO'd. Not like I have a choice. At this point, I didn't even go back to the fight menu, as the battle just continued without me. I know that there were no animations at all for some reason. Pikachu used Flail, which didn't do much damage just by his level and boosted his health was maxed. Celebi used Parish Song. What happens is it was already used. Pikachu used Frustration. Did a crap ton of damage, knocking Celebi down to less than 10 HP. Celebi used Pain Split. It surprised me that Celebi didn't even have that attack in the first place. Now Celebi and Pikachu have about 150 HP. Pikachu used Mean Luck, not like that did anything. As expected, due to the effects of Parish Song, my Celebi fainted. Except in the text it said Celebi has died. Instead of the ordinary drop-off the screen animation, the Celebi back sprite just vanished. For some reason, the Pikachu was still up even with Parish Song and didn't count as my loss. Pikachu used one more different attack beyond the 5 attack limit. Pikachu used Destiny Bond. Afterwards, it said Pikachu has died, with a slow fade out animation. Apparently, I was the winner as the transparent red sprite showed up and said ... At that point, I just freaked out. As the transparent red sprite was suddenly beheaded, leaving nothing but his transparent body. The battle then ended at that point and faded out along with the music. Back in the overworld with another change to the gold sprite. Now as transparent as Red's overworld sprite. We check Gold's profile where this time the only thing remaining of him is his head. With the transparent skin. It was zoomed in a bit, showing blank void in his eyes. Now stated that he has 40 badges. Then backed out to check my Pokemon. They're all level 20 shiny unknown. Which, when spelled out, read no more. And with that, what I now know is next to the end. There was apparently no music playing, but for some reason I still felt like something was there that could be heard. I was back in my room in New Barktown. Maybe I finally got to play the game properly. Who am I kidding? That sadistic frick must have done something. I walked around my room to interact with things, as I'm a bit afraid to go down the stairs to see what was raining down there. And I said walked, as while the background was moving, Gold was not moving his transparent limbs at all while doing so. Just flowing like those ghosts you see in Diamond and Pearl. As expected, the radio, computer, TV did not work, so I had no choice but to go down the stairs. I ended up in the same lower level room of my house. Everything appears normal except Mom at home. Failing to interact with anything in this room, I decided to go outside. I was surprised the door leading outside at the south didn't work, and then I just walked straight through it into a void. I continued moving south to see what the frick was going on. My house vanishes as I head into the south into the void. What's creepy is, when I entered the void, the outline of Gold's transparent sprite turned white to contrast with the pitch black. Eventually I reached a wide area and Gold's sprite turned black and transparent again. I continued south without thinking of stopping at all. After a long trek south, I finally encountered something. It was Gold's regular sprite. I talked to it, he said, goodbye forever, notably with a space in between the forever and ... and vanished. That happened, I said, question mark, his nightmare. At that point, I would not deny that being possible. Gold did another escape rope animation, spinning slowly downwards like before. Now back into that small, hollowed-out room surrounded by graves earlier. At least I'd say it was back there, but there's no sprite anymore. I tried to walk around, but nothing moved. Not even wall bumping noise. Checked my training profile with absolutely no gold sprite at all. Instead, I have 0 badges, and all pictures of the gym leaders at the bottom were replaced with skulls. Checked my Pokemon, which were all level 25 unknown. Inspected, it spelled out a phrase that I dared to read. I'm dead. As soon as I went back to the overworld, the room I was supposedly in was then covered with the same blocks as the walls. I then figured out what exactly that room was, and the final text said, R.I.P. That room was a big grave, surrounded by other graves. Gold has already been dead. He died presumably a few years after he defeated Red. He was the young trainer who, despite his efforts in collecting so many badges and attempts at becoming a Pokemon Master, was still unable to avoid the inevitable fate of death, and his efforts were eventually forgotten by the next generation. I was unable to escape from that text no matter what I pressed. I tried resetting the game, and the same thing happened, at which I then finally decided to give up on that horrible nightmare. After that experience, I will never look at the gimmick unknown the same way ever again. Yeah, that only first generation have folk tales and legends, but second generations told me how unpleasant the truth can be. I eventually enjoyed SwSh immensely, but still can't unthink what that rigged game has told me. And that's the end. Lost Silver. Honestly, I think the ROM hack that people have made is a lot better than the, story. Just because, visualization and all that. Yeah, I think more people know about, the ROM hack than they do the actual story. The actual creepypasta itself. But yeah. That was actually pretty much kind of short, if I'm being honest. At least I think it was short. I mean, it has already been, 50 minutes? So yeah. These aren't that short, but I do think I, mess up a lot and just reading a bit slowly. I don't want to take, long pauses in between, paragraphs and sentences. But I do have to sometimes in order to, focus on, the gameplay. Focus on, optimizing everything, whatchamacallit. Yeah, I think a few more minutes and we can go ahead and do the next one. Get that queued up. There we go, that should be good. Yeah, a lot of these creepypastas that I have are actually ones that I remember from way back when I first discovered creepypastas. I think my first creepypastas were Pokemon creepypastas. Yeah, I think I mostly found them through YouTube videos, people reading them. Sort of dramatic readings. You know, like back when, my creepypasta phase resurfaced, I would watch like speed paint videos, like creepypasta characters, but there would also be someone narrating the story they're from. I really like those kind of videos because it was just kind of like something to have on in the background and also cool art. But yeah. Now, while we have this downtime, tomorrow actually, apparently there's supposed to be a new trailer for Bendy and the Dark Revival, which was actually announced like a few years ago, but never really saw any progress with it. Or any like major progress. We saw like teasers and screenshots, but nothing else besides that. The only trailer was the, I guess, announcement trailer. Which had a little bit of gameplay, but not much else. Yeah, apparently tomorrow they're showing off a new trailer, which I hope means that it'll be released soon. Would love to play that, absolutely. Love Bendy and the Ink Machine. Yeah, I don't think I'll do like a reaction to that. I'll probably just watch it on my own. Yeah, like small trailers like that, I'm not too big on reacting to. Only stuff like directs and whatnot where there's going to be like a lot of announcements. Yeah, I hope we actually get like release date, I guess? Maybe not a release date. Depends on how far along it is. I can only imagine the reason why it took so long was because, Bendy chapter, or Bendy and the Ink Machine, I should say, was, 5 chapters long, spread out across a couple months. I assume they wanted to, take the time and make it like a full game instead of just doing it chapter by chapter, which of course would take a lot more time. I think since they have the experience now, they're not as like testing things out or anything. Yeah, I'm excited to see what's going to be cooking up there. Let's see, what do we... We're actually almost done with this one. This music. And already been almost 30 minutes, huh? Since I put this on. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, let's just switch over to the other one. The next one, I should say. Then we can get started with the next story, which is going to be Abandoned Loneliness. Another story that I really like that I actually feel is pretty underrated. I don't see many people like talking about it. I think this one also has like a ROM hack of sorts associated with it, sort of like Lost Over. I think a lot of these probably have ROM hacks of them just because, spooky. Yeah, let's start reading this. And then another sip. See if there's another egg for us. After this one hatches, I guess. Alright then. Let's see. Here's Abandoned Loneliness. Hello all, I'm here to tell you about a bizarre Pokemon game that I once got my hands on. It's quite an odd story, but please bear with me and listen up. A while back I got given a copy of Leaf Green by a friend. Said she'd tried out the game, but got bored of it pretty quickly. You can see just how quickly she got bored, as she only had 3 minutes of gameplay. Bought herself Leaf, I guess maybe because the game's title was Leaf Green. Wanted to play a new game, but first I wanted to see if she even bothered to leave Pallet Town to activate the event where Oak takes you to a lab and gives you a Pokemon. Started up the game to find the players laying in her bed in her bedroom, except it is in the middle of the room. Everything in the room is missing except the TV and bed. On the left side of the floor is a dark color, while the other side is lighter. Also, the area's name is Emptiness, not Pallet Town. Perhaps she gave up on the game because of this weird change to the overworld? Oh yeah, I almost forgot to mention, no music is playing at this time. Before leaving the bed, I hit the start button, which opened up the menu. I thought she did have a Pokemon, so I checked exactly what starter Pokemon she chose. To my surprise, she actually has level 10 Eevee, nicknamed Loneliness. I know Eevee is an impossible starter, but couldn't help to notice the E was missing from the word loneliness. Maybe she didn't know the spelling of loneliness? I guess that might have been the case since she wasn't very good at spelling. Wow, just roasting your friend, okay. On closer inspection, the Eevee appears to be sad instead of having a happy smile on its face. Nature is lonely nature, and his attacks are as follows: Tackle, Screech, Crotch, and Nightmare. I leave the bed and make my way over to the TV. Press the A button to see if it would work, and it did. Text said, "You're not wanted here." Well, isn't that nice? Since I can't do anything in this room, I exit downstairs, and just like with the upstairs, the only thing in the room is a TV. Except this time, the tiles on the floor spell out the word "Go" with the exclamation mark. Pick the TV, and the text says, "Don't leave me." Well, I had no choice but to leave since there was nothing to do in this boring room. I exit south to the waiting Pallet Town. I leave the house, and instead of being in Pallet Town, I'm in some large, foggy place. Surrounding grass is colored red, and the house that I left is cut in half. Only the bottom part showing. There are gates surrounding the path, which prevents me from exiting, and the music that is playing is the music that plays at the abandoned mansion. There is a path heading east. Before heading down the eastern path, I noticed there is a signpost. Walk up to the signpost and hit the A button, viewing the text as B. Apparently there is another path going south, except I can't reach it because the gate prevents me from walking to it. Walk down the path for what seems to be about 8 seconds when an NPC strolls in. He appears to be standing on the gate, and his body is purely white, with a gaping mouth and blood trailing from his eyes. A very spooky sight, if I say so myself. I'm able to interact with the NPC, but he says, "Can't you do better?" Is he taunting me? Regardless, I continue down the path. The surrounding grass turns to black, but the red path is still there. Walk towards the end of the path where there is a small door. Getting into the door, I'm taking off to a different map. I appear to be in a small school-like house with no blackboard and a small desk with a book on it. Walk up to the desk and check the book. I was so alone. Sorrow-filled eyes made me so unhealthy, so hurt. I wanted to help him, so I did. I have no clue who the author behind that book would be, but I shrugged it off. One of those NPCs is standing beside the desk, so I walked up to him and spoke to him. He was so kind. His smile, his laugh. He said, "Leaving the house, I am taken back to the previous map, except this time I'm in that path heading south, which I could not reach before." I walked south down the path to find that there are some letters faded on the left side of the gate, 5 white NPCs on the other side. Letters appear to spell out the word "friend." A question mark under the 5 NPCs. Friend? Is what it says. Someone is questioning if someone else was a friend. They continue south, the red grass changes to a pitch black. There's also a large body of water, with green grass surrounding it. I walked my overworld sprite around the water and down the path. The door at the end of the path, and on either side of the gates there are 2 letters. I looked at things, an N and a no. Puzzled together, the overall text is friend? No. So this person or Pokemon wasn't a friend to someone else? After exiting through the door, I find myself in a very confined space. Yet another white NPC standing at the end of the small room. I spoke to him, he said, "Why wasn't he?" Well, see for yourself. At this point, I was greatly attached to this game and was desperate to get to the end of it. Exit south, and I'm taken to the Pokemon Tower. There's a single path, which I can follow, except I can't go outside the barrier of gravestones. The 3 white NPCs scattered around. Yeah, scattered around outside the gravestone barriers. There is one on the path which I can speak to. Well, he says, ... Towards the end of the path, I find an NPC who isn't another one of those white NPCs, but the rival blue. He stood in front of a golden gravestone and is facing me. Looking to him, he says, "No, don't believe the ghosts. Run away before they get you." I'm sort of confused and still trying to puzzle together this odd story, but right now I wanted to find out what would happen next. I exit the Pokemon Tower and I'm in Lavender Town. Music changes to the Lavender Town theme and the town has little changes to it. It's raining and the routes going north, south, and west are blocked by wooden gates. Go to the town to find 3 more of those NPCs. Let's call them ghosts since that's what Blue addressed them as. One of them is outside the gate, so I'm unable to reach him. One is stood beside the Pokemon Center, and another is stood beside the main house in Lavender Town. The one beside the Pokemon Center says, "Oh, but we're having so much fun. Do you really want to deny us?" The one beside this house says, "Kiki? You still going to believe the kid who betrayed loneliness?" That's it. I got it. The Blue abandoned the Eevee named Loneliness, but why? The only way to find out was to continue with this game. I enter the house beside that ghost to find a lot of the stuff is missing. The glass and a bug catcher is at the table. I approach the girl and she says, "This is frightening. I want to get out of this nightmare." Walked over to the bug catcher and he says, "Ghost can't get in here. I wonder why." Wait, there's a 3rd NPC in the house. Facing the window, it's the main protagonist, Red. "Leaf, you're okay." No, you're not. Run now. You have to discover the truth." With that, I leave the house just as Red commanded. Next overworld map is the Pokemon Fan Club in Vermilion City, except the people are missing and there's a fog here. They also mentioned that the Lavender Town theme continues to play. Walk deeper into the house to find a ghost stood behind a kind of glitchy patch of blocks. Ghost said, "Right this way. Not like you have a choice." How very true. Walk into the bundle of blocks, but nothing happens and I appear trapped. Then tried walking back south, but I am teleported off to the Pewter City Gym with no one there but Brock. Fog is still in effect as I walk up to Brock and speak with him. "Truth," he says, demandingly as I'm thrown into a battle with him. At last, lively music! Brock only has 3 Pokemon, each at level 2. Sends out his first one, which is a Bulbasaur named Ghosts. I send on my Eevee, Loneliness. I easily KO the Bulbasaur with Tackle as he switches into a Charmander named Tricked. The process repeats and switches to his final Pokemon, which is a Squirtle named Him. While knocking out the last Pokemon, I notice that together they say, "Ghost tricked him." That, I win the bottle and Brock scrolls in saying, "Continue," handing me the Boulder Badge. Brock's text ends with a bunch of exclamation marks. We are taken back to the overworld. Kiki? Leaf received Team 39 from Brock. Ghost tricked him. He is waiting. Be gone, be gone. Brock says. I exit the gym and I'm taken to the gate which leads up to Victory Road. There are no edits here at all and I'm able to pass through the gates due to having the Boulder Badge. I exit out of a house in Fuchsia City which is placed on the path that leads you to Cycling Road. Instantly I notice the text in the top corner which says, "You will perish." The city seemed to be glitched and wrecked and it is raining and no music plays. Heading eastward down the path, I see 2 ghosts. The one closest to the house I exited says, "Take in the air while you still can." The one next to him says, "Your time is almost up." The path continues eastward, and I can't go north due to some glitch blocks blocking the way. I keep walking eastward towards the city gate, only to find it is blocked by 3 uninteractable signs and a ghost. The ghost says, "When you find out the truth, you shall join Loneliness forever. You shall experience our being." I explore around the remote city to find Blue, who is standing at the southern east part of the city. When I approach him, he says, "Leaf, I abandoned Eevee after my Eradicate died. The ghost tricked me into it. I found out Blue to be the fool he is." Continue with this story, going through the only door in the town that will work is the house I entered the city from. Entering the house, I'm taking off to the Pokemon Tower. Trapped in a single, one-block space, surrounded by gravestones with 3 ghosts stood around me. At this point onward, there's truly nothing to do, so I switched off the game. A few months passed since my encounter with that very odd game. I haven't picked it up since, switching it off and soon forgot about it. I left it under my bed in a small box of games, not playing it until one Friday afternoon when my mother was cleaning my bedroom. I got back from college and went up to my room to see her moving the box from under my bed and placing it on the bed. "Sorry, dear, I won't be too long," she said as she continued to clean my room. I took the box, gave my mother a hug, and went back downstairs, grabbing my DS Lite on the way. Threw myself onto the sofa and opened up the small box to find a bundle of different games. Which one to play? I looked around in the box until I saw a small green game card hidden under all the other games. It was that weird Pokemon Leaf Green game that I hadn't played in so long. I remember being stuck in the Pokemon Tower, but I was eager to play this game just for the old times. Upon going to the title screen, I found that there was a new file named Sorrow, which had a gameplay time of 10 minutes. When I remember, the last save file was called Leaf. But whatever, selecting the file and taking it into the game. I'm in a school building facing the eastern wall, and in the top corner it says the map's name, which is Neglect. There's also a... Oh, did not mean to... put away my lit wick. Ah, okay. I did not mean to have all them in there, but okay. Guess I forgot to switch my boxes around. Whoops. Yeah, let's just start from here. I can put them all back later. Let's see. There's also a ghost stood at the blackboard. Checked to see if I still had the evening loneliness, but I have a Banette named Unwanted at level 18. Brave Banette is missing its arms, its right eye is a black void, and there's a trail of blood from its left eye. Also appears to be frowning with a modest nature, and met in question mark at level 18. No status curse and grudge, except grudge is fresh out of PP. Oh yeah, and it also has the ability Drizzle, which summons rain when entered in battle. Speak to the ghost, and Eevee cries, heard as he says, "Where'd loneliness go?" I exit the house, and I'm in a fairly large area. The gates surrounding the area, and 3 ghosts stood aside the gates to the north, all staring at the house that I just exited. Grass is red like earlier in the game, and find 3 signposts and another house. Along with one of those people you see at the Pokemon Tower, wandering around. You interact with the signpost, which is to the left of the house, and it says he brought Leaf here. Go to the signpost, which is directly right from the house, and that one says trainer tips. It was my only choice. I just had to. The final signpost south of that one says trainer tips. It left me as well. Before approaching the final signpost, I decided to speak with the person. He said, "Loneliness," and I'm given a yes or no answer. I didn't quite follow what she meant, so chose no when she said, "Don't lie." Try again, this time selecting yes, and she says, "Why did you?" Okay, so from what I gather, Leaf also neglected this Eevee just like Blue did. I explored the second house to find I'm in a Pokemon Center. With the fog in effect, and the counter is a Mew and a Ghost, both of them saying ... The stairs leading to the top floor is a male trainer Red. I walk my character over to him and he says, "I don't know you." What? We met in Lavender Town. Maybe he was saying that because Leaf abandoned Eevee as well. Go up the stairs and I'm teleported to Route 22. We're outside the gate. It's raining. The grass is red like earlier. Map's title is Look. Music changes to the Abandoned Mansion theme. By entering the League building, except the doors won't budge. Well, I chose to follow the path that would lead me to Viridian City. While following the path, I pass a signpost. On interacting with the signpost, I hear an Eevee cry as text displays the word Eradicate died. It doesn't notice me still. The wall which you can normally hop over is changed to a gate. On the other side of the gate spells the word Look. Continue around the path until I get to an area where I cannot pass due to the gates blocking the way. On the other side of the gate, there appears to be another word formation. It says E. Just a little north from here is a small door on the cliffside. I'm able to enter. Getting into a room where in the center there are tiles spelling out the letter E. That's 2 E's I've seen now. North of the room I see Professor Oak. I'm walking past him, but he stops me and says, "Loneliness isn't the only one. E. E. E." Sends me back. I walk back to where I entered and exited through where I'm warped off to a cave named Loneliness. By the looks of things, I'm in the northwest part of Mount Moon. Music fades to silence and the cave is filled with fog. I walk south where I find a signpost. And just like with the previous signpost, I hear an Eevee cry as I interact with it. "Feel someone wanted," says the signpost. Continue walking south where I'm met with Blue and he says, "There's nothing but a curse." Green fades to black, but fades in. Blue is nowhere to be seen. I goes to explore the cave a bit, getting eastward from where I spoke to Blue. Suddenly, the room changes as if I exited through a ladder. From what I gather, I'm in the lower part of the cave with a large pathway, shaped like a C. As I walk around the path, I find a 30 written on the ground. And towards the end of the path to a waiting ladder, where I exit out of the cave into a route with a single pathway heading out. Similar to the first path in the game, except I'm surrounded by endless cave walls instead of gates. Music begins to play as I notice it's the Lavender Town theme song. There's a signpost here, and as I interact with it, I hear an Eevee cry. As the text appears on screen saying, "I'm not a curse." At the end of the path, I find a single path of grass, and as soon as I step into the grass, I'm engaged in battle. Level 10 Eevee scrolls in. Instead of saying, "While the Eevee appeared," it says, "Loneliness looks sad." And now my level 18 Banette drill is activated. Since the Banette is fresh out of Grudge PP, I have no choice but to use Curse. Unwanted, use Curse. Unwanted, once wild loneliness to suffer. Wild loneliness, use Grudge. Wild loneliness is bearing its emotions. Then continues to fall. Wild loneliness is feeling agonizing pain. Can't use any other attack, the battle just continues with that until loneliness finally fades from the curse. Except it says, "Wild loneliness dies." My Banette gains some EXP and sent back to the overworld. This time it's raining and the map's name is Suffer. There's no music playing. The grass patch is missing. There's a door in the wall above me, and the overworld where my character has changed. Her eyes completely white. Her eyes are red and she has red markings on her hands. Check my trainer card to see her sprite matches her overworld sprite. Check my Pokemon to see I still have the Banette. It's back at full HP and there's back up 10 out of 10, but Grudge is still at 0 out of 5. Go through the door and I appear outside Lavender Town. Lavender Town's Pokemon Tower. Grass has changed to red. It's still raining. Barriers have changed from wooden ones to white ones. They are also closer, leaving me with a little less space to explore. Tower's door is missing and music kicks in as Pokemon Tower theme. There's 4 signs posted beside the tower in order. Each one of them from top to bottom, and the text is as follows. "Why didn't you listen to me? Now you're cursed. You have saved us both. Do you regret?" I mean, that sign post from earlier, before the battle with loneliness, said, "I'm not a curse." And before that, signpost constantly labeled loneliness as a bad curse. Led me to believe it was loneliness who was speaking through the signpost. Outside of the barriers are 3 ghosts, and when I explore the houses, there's no one in them. Right in the last house I checked, which is the one most southwest, and the tiles are white with E right on the floor in green. So there's a Cubone stored on the letter E. When I approached the Cubone, interacted with it, it says 4th letter E. Next to the house, and I appear back in the bedroom from the start of the game. But the bed is missing and there's a letter V on the floor. I interact with the TV and it says the following. E, E, V, E, E. Put the E where it belongs. 4 E's and a letter V, spelling out Eevee. And downstairs, and the only thing in the room is another TV. Interact with it and it says, "You no longer exist. Have no purpose, but maybe you can ask for forgiveness." I leave the house and I'm in Pallet Town. There's another change to the overworld sprites. I'm nothing but 2 red eyes and a red mouth. Stood in front of me, looking up at me, are red and blue. Just decided to check if my trainer card had changed. 4 minutes of gameplay. No sprite, and name had changed from Sar to Look. And then check my party to see I have a faceless level 10 Navy name put to rest. Nature is modest, and its only move is guillotine. Speak to Ren, he says. Where is Leaf? Where is loneliness? Right away I notice that the word loneliness has missing letter E placed back in it. Then I spoke to Blue and he says, we've got the brunt of the curse. It's all my fault. Just below him is a signpost. When I interacted with it, her Navy cry. On my other text, loneliness was put to rest. R.I.P. As the R.I.P. appears on the screen, Cred's music from Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald plays. And I'm locked into the text and unable to leave it. Music would play to the end, and once it did, I'm set right back to the start of the game. I have a level 10 Eevee named Loneliness. And that's that one. Honestly, yeah, I think a lot of the ROM hacks are a lot better than the stories themselves. The creepypastas from the early days weren't exactly the best, most well-written. Yeah, that one wasn't really as creepy as it was just like, I don't know, I guess sad? I mean, it's not like, whatchamacallit. Yeah, it really isn't that creepy, to be honest. Really just... I mean, yeah, sad is probably the word. I mean, this has been playing for a little bit. Change it over to the... route music. I didn't even know this was music in Pokemon until today. It's because I never actually played through, like, Pokemon Ruby or Omega Ruby. I only had, like, Alpha Sapphire. Yeah, I never heard this part of the game. Apparently this happens during the drought, where, you know, Groudon kind of takes control of everything. Meanwhile, in Alpha Sapphire, you have a flood. And this is very interesting music for a Pokemon game. Yeah, we still haven't found any shiny Trapinch. Which is a shame. I remember, like, last year, I think, I was shiny hunting for both, like, Phantump and Litwick. Litwick through Masuda and Phantump through the murder method. I actually got both of them in, like, the same amount. Like, the number battled on the Phantump and the number of eggs for the Litwick were the same exact number. It was like a crazy coincidence. It was still, like, really cool to me to have that happen. Yeah, also since a lot of these stories have to do with, like, the old games, I'm, like, reminded of one of my, like, early times playing Pokemon. I got, like, a Pokemon Emerald cartridge. And because I had the DS Lite, I actually had a Game Boy Advance, I just had, whatchamacallit, the DS Lite, because that has a GBA slot. I wanted to get Pokemon Emerald because I wanted to experience, you know, Gen 3, because I never had before. But, like, I just could not play it. Wouldn't let me save, wouldn't let me set the clock. Freeze every so often. Yeah, I just ended up not playing it and only got to play Gen 3 once Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire rolled around. I actually still have the cartridge just sitting on my shelf. Don't have the DS Lite anymore, so I can't exactly play it, but still. There we go. Really do want to find this trapinch like soon. I might continue this into tomorrow if we don't get it, but I know this is probably going to take a lot less time than Arceus. Given that, you know, Shiny Charm actually works and I'm not resetting every 5 minutes. Yeah. The only trouble is I might not even recognize it as a shiny Trapinch till, you know, a little bit later, because I'll be busy reading. And I think maybe at, like, the end of the stream, we might go back through, check and see if there's any that I might have missed, like, for one reason or another. I'm hoping this doesn't take too long, that doesn't take all of my, like, slots in the PC. Yeah, I already messed up a little by not switching the box properly. That's just what I get. Yeah, I think I tried doing like the murder method for Trapinch at first, but I was very inefficient with how little of them spawn, since they can only spawn in the grass. Like wild, like a random encounter from the grass, not like an overworld encounter. Makes it a lot harder to find. At least I think it's only a grass encounter. I think it is. Can't be sure though. It's been a while since I tried the murder method for it. I don't exactly remember. Yeah, I think now's a good time as any. Continue with our next story. It's going to be Prevention of Evolution by Night Day Zoroark. This is another one that I remember very well from early days. Yeah, pretty interesting concept for a story, if I remember correctly. And let me go ahead and get this egg and then we'll start things up. Let's go. I'll never look at Shiny Eevee in the same way again. Ever. Started only a few days ago. I was on the internet looking for inaction replay codes. I really wanted one for either Shiny Vulpix or Shiny Eevee. I found one for that Shiny Eevee I wanted so much. It was long, but I was willing to take the time to put it in. It took about 15 minutes to put in the code. But I was so excited to get the code into action. Started my Soul Silver game up with the code on. Don't continue when my previous save data came up. I was saved right in front of the Pokemon Center, rushing into the place with my Typhlosion following behind me. Went to the PC and pressed A. Balls booted up the PC. Clicked A on Bill's PC. Pokemon storage system activated. Press the L and R buttons down and moved to box 5 where the shiny Eevee was supposed to come up. Move the cursor over the Eevee. It was named E and was level 1. Moves were Tackle, Growl, Sand Attack, and Swift. Took my level 1 Giratina from my party and put it into the first box of the PC. Afterwards, I put E in my party. I traded in my Heart Gold version, since it was the only one I always play. Got my other DS and popped the Heart Gold into it. Carried on and click continue. Once both of my players were in the Union Room, I started the trade. Traded Cubone from my Soul Silver in return for Eevee. Once Pokemon were traded into separate versions, I make both players leave the Union Room and save. One at a time. One at a time. While starting off the system Soul Silver was in, I went to playing Heart Gold. I'm the clone so I could get the rest of the evolutions. I wonder if I have a Thunderstone. Wondering myself as I opened my character's bag. The evolution stone I had was a Water Stone. Vaporeon will do for now, I guess. Click down on the Water Stone and click on E. Watch this Eevee evolve into a pink Vaporeon. Once the evolution process was done, I saved the game and turned it off. It's time for me to go to bed. Several days passed and gotten all the shiny evolutions except for Flareon, but that didn't matter to me. I get it later. I wanted to get E back into my Soul Silver. Popped my DS and popped in my action. Got my DS and popped in my Action Replay DSi along with Soul Silver. Code list loaded, I clicked on the shiny Eevee code and started up the game. To continue as soon as the options came up, I'm saving the Pokemon Center this time. Ran over to the PC. Boss booted up the PC. Get down on Bill's PC. Pokemon storage system activated. It's already in box 5. Moved to box 6 and held down R and L buttons. Moved back to box 5. Instead of an Eevee icon in the box, there was an egg icon. Moved my cursor onto it. It was a bad egg. Move the egg to the side of the box and try it again. Another bad egg. Move this egg to the bottom and try it for a third time. This time, E appeared in the box. Moved E back into my party. When to train him, I discarded the fact that I had 2 bad eggs in my PC box and walked off the PC. Right now the Pokemon Center to train E. I had the max EXP code on, so this would be easy. After flying to Goldenrod City on my Ho-Oh, I ran out of the city, knowing I had sneaked past some of the trainers. When the trainer spotted me, I sent out E. So my trainer sent out level 10 Diglett. In return, sent out E, and I returned E and sent out my trusty Typhlosion. After the foe's Diglett attacked, I selected Typhlosion's command. It wouldn't be hard for him since he was level 100. Selected Slash. Typhlosion used Slash. So Diglett fainted. Held down the R button so E would gain max experience points. E grew to level 2. E grew to level 3. This went on until E grew to level 37. Trainer's about to send out Zubat. Balls change Pokemon. Selected yes and sent out E. Go E! Trainer sent out Zubat. Selected fight command, then chose Swift. E used Swift. Oh, Zubat died. Or Zubat died, I questioned? Shook my head and ignored it. So, through my confusion, I had forgotten to hold down the R button to get the max EXP from my Eevee. Trainer's about to send out Diglett, a claw-switch Pokemon. Selected no this time. Trainer sent out Diglett. What will E do? Selected the fight option and chose Swift again. E used Swift. Both Diglett died. And the Pokemon had died, even though this still confused me. I remembered to hold down the R button this time. E grew to level 38. E grew to level 39. E grew to level 40. Until E reached level 52. Building Trainer didn't do anything after I beat him. Just when we went back to the old world, I got the evolution screen and E was on there. What? E is evolving! Animation started showing it was trying to evolve into Espeon. I clicked the B button since I already had a shiny Espeon. What? E stopped evolving. Noticed as E seemed to be angry. Noticed it and I ignored it and went on training it. About 5 minutes or so, he was trying to evolve into Espeon again. Pressed the B button and he seemed even angrier at me. Once again in the overworld, before I could do anything, my trainer faced E, and an angry icon appeared over the shiny Eevee's head. E wants to evolve into Espeon. Yes or no options came up. Being that I didn't want to evolve into Espeon, I clicked on no. The angry icon appeared over E's head again, and Spellsprite jumped up and down as if it were throwing a tantrum. E wants to evolve. Another yes or no option came up. Click no again. He didn't do anything this time. I opened my party and noticed that all my Pokemon were now bad eggs, except for E. Clicked on E, and on summary. E-Sprite had an evil-looking smirk on his face and red eyes. I was starting to get tired of it and went to a Pokemon Center. Went to the PC. Boss booted up the PC. Clicked A on Bill's PC. Pokemon storage system activated. Clicked a D and then clicked on release. E won't leave without a fight. Only I'm dragging to a random encounter. E wants to fight. Go, Typhlosion. There were two things I noticed here. First thing was that I suddenly had my Typhlosion back. Second was that both E and Typhlosion sprites were bloody. E still had that grin on his face and there was no blood on its eyes and ears. Typhlosion sprite looked very much like it was in pain. Blood was dripping from its mouth and nose, flesh was exposed on its forehead, and his neck looked weak. What will Typhlosion do? I looked at the fight command. It shows flamethrower. Typhlosion is scared. What? I whispered to myself. I didn't know that Pokemon would get too scared to attack. He used Bite. The attack dealt much more damage to my Typhlosion, but it wasn't down yet. There's more blood on it now than before. What will Typhlosion do? Bite. Flamethrower. Typhlosion is scared. I sighed. Again? I whispered. He used Kill. Typhlosion has died. No! I yelled. But my dad wasn't home when I said that. Boss is out of usable Pokemon. Boss fell victim to E. Once again confused. What did it mean by fell victim? Back in the old world, but I was in what seemed to be Ilex Forest instead of the Pokemon Center. Forest was a dark crimson of its normal green color. Bones and rotting flesh were strewn across the area. The little pond was blood red, too. At this point I was starting to feel sick to my stomach. I didn't notice something. It was right in front of my trainer. E's sprite jumped up and down. E wants you to suffer. I was getting too scared to go on with this. I moved my thumb towards the power button. Don't even try it. You're not getting away from me. The voice was coming through the speakers of my DS. Even the voice belonged to E. The screen turned black and the only sound I could hear is what sounded like slashing. When the overworld came back, I saw my trainer laying on the ground in a pool of blood. He had an arm and a leg missing, and his eyes were pitch black. And then his eyes were ripped out. E's sprite jumped up and down again, and then a happy icon appeared over E's head. I tried turning the game off again. To my surprise, it worked this time. I sat on my couch speechless and breathed hard for a moment before turning it back on. The console's over once I was in the DSi menu. The tail screen came up, I was immediately taken to a wild encounter. Trainer Sprite was still missing his eyes and an arm. I swallowed hard. It's greatly disturbed me. Then the opposing Pokemon appeared. He attacked. Notice that E had shiny Espeon ears, tail, and jewel. Blood dripping from the ears, tail, and jewel. His eyes were red and also had blood dripping from them. That was like a demonic version of Espeon's cry. The alternate option was Ball. Clicked on it. Boss used one Pokeball. He goes into the ball, shakes once, again, and E breaks out. He doesn't want to go back. He used Kill. Oh no, I said quietly to myself. Flash of crimson red before a text box came up. He has killed Klaus. We went back to the old world. Fairy Sprite wasn't there. His sprite was now grinning wildly. He should have let me evolve. His voice echoed through the speakers of my DS. The game turned itself off as E finished talking. Too terrified to turn back on. Threw my DS at a wall. Surprisingly, only my Soul Silver game pops out of it. Picked up the game cartridge and threw it in the trash can in the corner of my room. I sat there on my couch wondering what had just happened. I turned on my TV and the screen was black. Maybe I had just left it on the channel I used to play my Wii. Went through the channel before leaving it on 29. The screen remained black. I reached to press the power button, but before I could, an eerie voice comes through the speakers. Just let me evolve. Yeah, that's that one. I don't think this one had like a ROM hack. I think it might have had like fan art done of it where people try and make it what it would look like if it was an actual thing. Yeah, E is also one of my favorite like creepypastas. Just like the 5 E's. I don't think I actually like said it properly. But it is like capital E, lowercase e, capital E, capital E. And that's like one of my favorites in terms of like characters. Writing could use a bit of work, but like I said, PokePastas from back then weren't exactly the best. You know, I'll go ahead and queue up the next one real quick. I think these last few don't have a known author, so I think a lot of these were posted either anonymously or, you know, they've just been sort of lost to time. Alright, I think we've heard enough of this one. What's up next? The cave! Seaward Cave, I think it is. I honestly just, earlier this morning, just kind of looked up, you know, creepy Pokemon music. I didn't want to just keep repeating, like, the same 3 themes over and over again. Yeah, this wasn't as, like, creepy as it is, like, spooky, I guess? More of the word. Like, it's very haunting, but also pretty nice. Yeah, tomorrow, actually. Tomorrow actually is November, start of November, so we get to do that. And we start in November, so not a lot happens in November, honestly. Though we do have Frontiers and Scarlet and Violet coming out. Wonder why I keep going back to colors every so often. Like, where it started with like red and blue, gold and silver. Well, gold and silver, can they really be considered like colors? They are technically colors, but not like the usual sense, I guess. No, I actually have to pay attention to when my trap and chatch. Yeah. Yeah, because I think it went like red, blue, yellow, skipped a couple generations up to black and white, then skipped a couple generations, now we're back at Scarlet and Violet. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what those two are all about. You know, from the Pokemon that we've seen. I've heard general things about the game, I'm still taking it with a grain of salt. Can never be too sure with leaks. Yeah, I really don't know how I want to like segment it into videos. Probably just gonna have to be one of those things where we just go with the flow and once it happens, it happens. Yeah, I think we're good to go on to the next one, next story. of the ones that I've done so far have been a little less mainstream, I guess. Quote unquote. But this next one, I wouldn't say it's necessarily popular, but I think it has gained popularity thanks to the Friday Night Funkin' mod. Which I think is actually how I found out about this one. I might have known about it before, but didn't know it by name. But yeah, the next story is going to be Disabled by unknown author. And I think the rest of these just have an unknown author. If there is an author, I couldn't find it on the page. But yeah. So anyways, go ahead and get started with this one. When it comes to Pokemon, my favorites have to be Jigglypuff and Wigglytuff. When I was a little girl, I dreamed of having a puffy Jigglypuff. I used to have a bunch of Jigglypuff and Wigglytuff plushies. I would surround my pillow, and each night I would cuddle with a different one, just to make sure they each got some love. Anytime my Jigglypuff or Wigglytuff used to sing, I would hum a little tune with them. Singing made my chances better for the opposing Pokemon to fall asleep. Very naive back then, but it was blissful innocence, to be honest. Heck, I even played Jigglypuff in the Brawl games. Didn't care if anyone else didn't like her. I did. Then I got my hands on Pokemon Soul Silver when it first came out. I, of course, made it my mini mission to find Jigglypuff and Wigglytuff. Went through the game, waiting for Puffs and Tuffs to show up. Found the occasional trainer with a Puff or Tuff, but soon found out that Jigglypuffs can only be caught in one set area. I later found to be the game's Safari Zone, and Wigglytuffs could not be found in the wild at all for me. At that point, Safari Zone was not active for me. So I was stuck waiting a little while longer to catch my beloved Puff. Quickly move this one out to the thing. There we go. After a week or so of battling and schoolwork, Safari Zone was finally available. Then once I had a chance to go and went on a hunt for Jigglypuff. Of course, it was not easy. I ran into maybe 8 the first trip and lost all 8 of them. I remember calling my DS Lite a cheater. Next day, though, I finally caught my first Jigglypuff. I named her June and put her in my party ASAP. It took some time to get her up to the level of the rest of my team, but it was well worth it for me. I even kept her singing since it felt so nostalgic to hear that lovely tune again. Sadly, school got busy for me for a while. I was forced to put my game on hold, but once I got my free time back, I went right back to work. Making sure all my Pokemon loved me, especially my June. I still didn't have my Wigglytuff. Didn't want to lose June, so I thought about getting an already evolved Wigglytuff. The Safari Zone has proven its dislike of me. So I set a call out on the wireless trade asking for a Wigglytuff. Any gender, and any level. I wasn't picky at the time, but I wish I had been picky. Changed from a new Wigglytuff and put out a wonderfully bred Totodile that had some killer moves, even for a level 6. Waited for hours, thinking someone would see the quality right away and send a trade. Waited days, maybe someone just happened to want a Totodile to raise. But 2 weeks had passed and I still had no response. I had already given up hope and was ready to use a Moonstone on June. I ended up checking one last time to make sure and wanted to get my Totodile back somehow. No one was going to take him. But then sent me to the main menu for wireless trading. So I got the dramatic evolving music. The Pokemon came flying from the top screen to the bottom. Finally got my Wigglytuff. Quickly logged out to see my new friend. Wigglytuff, level 26. Name was a bit odd though. Disabled, in all caps. I get why someone named Wigglytuff that, but it seems stranger names for Pokemon. Wish I could have changed it, but for some reason, never changed the name of a traded Pokemon. The information was a bit odd, but I was never one for those kinds of details or learning the meaning behind those details. Gloomy nature, and I knew more one move. Thing. I don't recall ever seeing Gloomy before, but I had seen timid, so I figured if they can be shy, they can be sad too. So you would have to wonder what Pokemon would be gloomy. The fact that it only knew Sing did bug me. would have been nice if its previous trainer left some more moves, but I had some nice TMs to try on it anyway. Despite the off information, I was eager to try out the Wigglytuff in battle. Took my character's bag and picked the best TM I was almost sure would work. Ended up picking Hidden Power, Swagger, and Explosion. Headed over to the nearest patch of grass and walked around aimlessly looking for a fight. The other music came on and Pokemon was a Ponyta. Picked fight and used Sing, just to make sure Wigglytuff's first fight was easy. It failed. I knew Sing didn't always work, so didn't think anything of it. Ponyta used Tail Whip. Cute, but only lowered my defense. My turn again, so I used Hidden Power to see if it was the right place for it. Well, if I was in the right place for it. I wasn't, since I barely made a nick in the Ponyta's HP. Used Tail Whip again. The game was using that same trick lower level Pokemon use. And I tried Sing again. Reactivated use Sing, but there was no sound. Sing was disabled. I just stared at my screen. How was it Sing unusable? Was it a stupid trick? Let Ponyta use his Tail Whip again, but then Wigglytuff shook a bit, like it was suffering from an effect. I saw a sprite change, but I didn't realize I'd probably got a glitchy Pokemon. Just a bit peeved that I lost a good Pokemon for a hacked one. Didn't want this one messing with my game, so I picked Run. Sable wants to fight. Could not leave the battle. Come on, I remember saying out loud, thinking that it was probably about to ruin my game. Thought Ponyta was about to attack this turn, but it didn't. The sprite shook like it was poisoned. Ponyta was frozen in fear. It might not attack. This was getting too weird, but I tried to pick Run again, and another weird text came up. Sable wants to fight. Cannot leave the battle. You can see that the text was different this time. I was able to pick another option. Couldn't run, so I fought. Tried Hidden Power again. Hidden Power was disabled. I had to pick another one. Tried Swagger. Swagger was disabled. What was doing this to its moves? All these questions popped in my head, one after another. What did that guy who gave me this Wigglytuff do? How to escape? I can't keep this Pokemon. I knew I could just turn the game off, but wanted to see what was happening. And see what was wrong with my Wigglytuff. Stuck with only two options. Sing and Explosion. Sing was already disabled from past attempts, so I could only use Explosion. Moves that would take out the Wigglytuff and the Ponyta too. Ending the battle. Thought that maybe that was a good thing. Explosion was disabled. He didn't have a chance to react before more text came up. Sable tried to use Sing. Sing was disabled. Doing it on its own. Spray started shaking a bit more than before. More, obviously. Ponyta is frozen in fear. It can no longer escape from battle. But my heart started to pound. Maybe this is what Ponyta was feeling at the time. Sable tried to use Sing. Sing was disabled. Sable tried to use Sing. Sing was disabled. Sable tried to use Sing. Sing was disabled. Each time the text passed Wigglytuff's sprite, Wigglytuff's sprite turned darker and darker. Sable used Struggle. I watched in horror as the Wigglytuff used Struggle, making no other moves to use. This time it didn't even hit the Ponyta, just Wigglytuff, like it was hurting itself. Ponyta finally fled from battle and the sequence ended. Wigglytuff could have gone with it, since Wigglytuff was first in my party. It was walking along with me on screen. It always looked dirty and could be seen on it. Turned my character to talk to it. ... Didn't say anything to me. Tried again. I was strangely desperate. Figure out what was happening to the Wigglytuff I was so joyed to finally have. ... I just wanted to sing. Not sure who was talking. Maybe it was voiceover, I thought. Talk to it again. Why? Why can't I sing? Just sing. Sing. Every time I spoke to it, its cry grew softer and softer. It was a toy breaking. I began to feel bad for Wigglytuff and head back to the city to heal it. It was the least I could do before I turned my game off. Taking it back to the time when I just barely got it, before I used it. Sadly, we didn't get far. We encountered another Pokemon battle, another Ponyta. Picked Run just like last time. Sable wants to fight. It cannot escape the battle. No one had time to react to what was happening during the fight. Ponyta was too slow for some reason and was stuck in battle. The options menu did not come up for me. Sable tried to use Sing. Sing, 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 sing. so much text it moves off the box itself. Finally glitching out, I thought. Then when you struggled. You struggled, and struggled, and struggled, and struggled, and struggled. Each struggle, Wigglytuff took more and more damage, though. This time the wild Ponytail got hit more this time, too. The wild Ponytail fled. The fight was over, but the battle screen stayed up. I began mashing the buttons, thinking maybe it was going to talk again and I need to press A or B. The screen faded and changed to the evolving screen. I couldn't speak. My heart sank and I felt my eyes water. The once normal Wigglytuff sprite was faded. The left ear was torn off, and a red pixel covered the broken end. His tired eyes were pitch black, with only a red dot to show his pupils. Even its mouth had red coming from it, like blood was dripping out. Why can't I sing? Why? Why? Can you sing? Yes or no? I picked no. I just wanted this to end. You're lying. You can sing. Give me your sing. Yes or no? I hit no about 4 or 5 times. Sing. Sing. Speakers let out a high-pitched screech, making me drop my DS to get it away. I ran out of my room and called a friend. I couldn't touch the game after that. A friend came over, singing as I could not hide the panic I was feeling. She laughed at me, but told her I wasn't touching the game. She picked it up for me and looked at it, shaking her head as she turned it off and closed it, and handed it back to me. I think you broke it, she told me, leaving my room and heading for the living room. She's staying with me for the rest of the day and night. I couldn't get that image out of my head. Next morning, my friend sitting next to me, I put the Wigglytuff up for trade. Hansan was offering a Cyndaquil in exchange for a Wigglytuff. I spun as hard as I could, wanting it to hurry up. But he went through. Still have that Cyndaquil. Whoever had him, named him Harry. That was kind of short. That was like kind of interesting. You know, the Pokemon known for singing, unable to sing. Like a pretty interesting Pokemon choice too. Usually Pokemon, like, I guess Pokemon choices, usually, you know, scary ones. Not something like a Jigglypuff or a Wigglytuff. I guess that just sort of adds to the horror because you don't really, like, expect it, I guess. But yeah. Gonna get the next one queued up. In case anyone's curious, I am just like reading these off of my iPad. Kinda like in front of me. Just sitting on my lap while I'm doing this. Yeah. Really do kind of hope we get this soon. Much as I'd love to do this a second time. Continue on with this. I mean, I have the Shiny Charm. I'm doing the Masuna method. I have a Japanese Trapinch and with a regular Trapinch. No, I really do wonder how breeding is going to work with Scarlet and Violet, because I think you can only get eggs from like the Pokemon camp, picnic, whatever thing it is. It makes me wonder, like, how are Pokemon going to breed? Like, are you able to choose, or do you just kind of hope that it's the one you want? It honestly seems like a really cool mechanic to have it be, you know, in a picnic instead, like, instead of, like, giving it to a daycare and running around for eggs. Well, you know what? I wonder if that means... Would we be able to use the Masuda method still? That's always relied on, you know, the daycare, but... I wonder if the mechanics are gonna change... a little bit. There's so many questions I have for Scarlet and Violet, and the game comes out in like... what now, like 18 days? Half a month? But yeah. I am hoping to get it on like day one. I think we should be able to. I think it comes out on like a Friday? Because my dad has off on Fridays. Might be able to, you know, get it early in the morning. I mean, that wouldn't make much of a difference if I had to get it later, because I can't really stream it in the morning. I guess I could, but... Please stop doing the Litwick. There we go. Yeah, even if I got it later, it wouldn't make a difference, because I'm not streaming in the morning. I mean, I guess I could, but it's not my normal streaming hours. You know, I usually get, like, schoolwork and stuff done during the morning. Either way. Not like I could really do anything about that. Yeah, I really do want to do, like, Masuda method hunts a lot more come Scarlet and Violet if we can do that. Actually, I wonder what the new shiny hunting method's going to be in Scarlet and Violet, because, you know, in this one we got the murder method, Sun Moon we had, like, chain fishing. No, I think X and Y was chain fishing, and then Sun and Moon had the SOS method, yeah. I really gotta wonder, you know, what new method are they gonna pull out for us next? Yeah, let me change up our music, because I've been in this one for a while. The abandoned site from the Sun and Moon. Sorcerer's trial. Yeah, I think it's time we move on to our next story. This is going to be Pokemon Black. Keep in mind that this was made before Gen 5 was even a thing. So sometimes this music sounds like the Wii, like the Mii channel theme. Just the dun dun dun. Like the exact same note. Yeah, keep in mind this was made before Gen 5 was even a thing. I think even before Gen 4 might have been a thing. Yeah, this is not about the Pokemon Black you know, this is a different Pokemon Black. I think this is also one of the more popular Pokemon creepypastas from back then. This is also one of the, I think, more popular stories. Yeah, let's go ahead and get into this one. what you would call a collector of bootleg Pokemon games. Oh, it's night now. Wonderful. Pokemon Diamond and Jade, Chaos Black, etc. Amazing the frequency with which you can find them at pawn shops, Goodwill, flea markets, and such. Generally fun, even if they are unplayable, which they often are. Mistranslations and poor quality make them unintentionally humorous. I'm able to find most of the ones that I played online, but there's one I haven't seen any mention of. I was at a flea market about 5 years ago. There is a picture of the cartridge in case anyone recognizes it. When I moved 2 years ago, I lost the game, so I provide you with screen caps, sorry. The game started with the familiar Nidorino and Gengar intro with Red and Blue version. However, the press start screen had been altered. Red was there, but Pokemon did not cycle through. It also said Black version under the Pokemon logo. On selecting New Game, the game started the Professor Oak speech, and it quickly became evident that the game was essentially Pokemon Red version. After selecting your starter, if you looked at your Pokemon, you had in addition to Bulbasaur, Charmander, or Squirtle, another Pokemon, Ghost. Pokemon was level 1. It's right of the ghosts that are encountered in Lavender Town before obtaining a Self Scope. Had one attack, Curse. Knew that there was a real move named Curse, but the attack did not exist in Generation 1, so it appears it was hacked in. Many Pokemon were unable to attack Ghosts, who would only say they were too scared to move. When the move Curse was used in battle, Scream would cut the black. Cry of the defending Pokemon would be heard, but it was distorted, in a much lower pitch than normal. Battle Screams would then reappear, and the defending Pokemon would be gone. Used in a battle against a trainer, and the Pokeballs representing their Pokemon would appear in the corner. They would have one fewer Pokeball. The implication was that the Pokemon died. The thing strange is that after defeating a trainer and seeing they received 200 for winning, battle commands would appear again. If you selected Run, the battle would end as it normally does. You could also select Curse. If you did, upon returning to the overworld, your Sprite would be gone. After leaving and re-entering the area, the spot where the trainer had been would be replaced with a tombstone, like the ones at Lavender Town. The move Curse was not useful in all instances, failed against Ghost Pokemon. It also failed was used against trainers that you would have to face again, such as your rival or Giovanni. It was usable in your final battle against them, however. I figured this was the gimmick of the game, allowing you to use the previously uncapturable ghosts. And because Curse made the game so easy, I essentially used it throughout the whole adventure. The game changed quite a bit after defeating the Elite Four. After viewing the Hall of Fame, which consisted of ghosts and a couple of Pokemon used for HMs, and cut the black. Box appeared with the words, many years later. And cut to Lavender Tower. An old man was standing, looking at tombstones. And then realized this man was your character. Wind moved at only half of your normal walking speed. You no longer had any Pokemon with you, not even ghosts, who up to this point had been impossible to remove from your party, after depositing into the PC. Your world was entirely empty, no people at all. All the tombstones of trainers that you used Cursed on, however. Go pretty much anywhere in the overworld at this point. Nope. Accidental battle. The movement was limited by the fact that you had no Pokemon to use HMs. Regardless of where you went. Music of Lavender Town. Oh shoot, I just remembered I am level 1. Peck. I do have a Pokédoll. That's good. Awesome. You could go pretty much anywhere in the overworld at this point, though your movement was limited by the fact you had no Pokemon to use HMs. Regardless of where you went, the music of Lavender Town continued on an infinite loop. After wandering for a while, I found that if you go through Ridiculous Cave, one of the cuttable bushes that normally blocks the path to the other side is no longer there, allowing you to advance and return to Pallet Town. Upon entering your house and going to the exact tile where you start the game, Spring would cut the black. A sprite of Caterpie would appear. It was replaced by a Riedel and a Pidgey, and soon realized, since Pokemon progressed from Red to the Blastoise, that these are all the Pokemon that I used Cursed on. At the end of my rival's team, a youngster appeared, and then Bugcatcher, where a trainer side Cursed. Throughout the sequence, the Lavender Town music was playing, but it was slowly decreasing in pitch. By the time your rival appeared on screen, it was little more than a demonic rumble. Another cut to black. 2 months later, the battle screen suddenly appeared. The trainer sprite was now that of an old man. He was the one who teaches you how to catch Pokemon in Viridian City. Ghost appeared on the other side, along with the words, Ghost wants to fight. couldn't use items and you had no Pokemon. Try to run, you couldn't escape. The only option was fight. Using fight would immediately cause you to struggle, which didn't affect Ghost, but did chip off a bit of your own HP. As Ghost turned to attack, it would simply say ... Eventually, when your HP reached a critical point, Ghost would finally use Curse. Screen got to black a final time. Regardless of the buttons you pressed, you were permanently stuck in this black screen. At this point, the only thing you could do was turn the Game Boy off. When you played again, this game was the only option. The game had erased the file. I played these exact games many times, and every time the game ended with a sequence. Several times I didn't use Ghost at all, so it was impossible to remove from the party. In these cases, it did not show any Pokemon or trainers and simply cut to the climactic battle with Ghost. Not sure what the motives were behind the creator of this hack. It wasn't widely distributed, so it was presumably not for monetary gain. Very well done for a bootleg. He was trying to convey a message, though it seems I am the sole receiver of this message. Not entirely sure what it means. The inevitability of death, the pointlessness of it. Perhaps he was simply trying to morbidly inject death and darkness into a child's game. Regardless, this children's game has made me think, and it has made me cry. Very short one. Not too bad. Though now I do only have one more story queued up. Like in my read list, I should say. Still hear that me channel theme. Yeah, I'd say that one's probably one of the like better written ones. Whoops. Don't have space for the egg. There we go. Yeah, this next one actually has a bit of a long title. I have to adjust where put this one. Actually I can shorten the title. I can just say the full title on stream. Yeah, I can just say the full title. I don't need to put the entire thing. There we go. Yeah, there are a lot more Pokemon creepypastas that I know of. Or I guess I should say there are a lot more creepypastas than I know of. I've only ever heard like a handful of them because they're all like new to me. I know that there are people out there who really like this kind of stuff. I mean, someone made an entire mod on it for Friday Night Funkin', so... Speaking of that Friday Night Funkin' mod, it really does have some like good music in it. Good songs. I think my favorites are the Safety Lullaby and also Poodine. Especially Poodine. I really love that one. I've actually been working on like a lyrical cover for it. Making lyrics for it. I don't think it's as like big that many people would, you know, try and cover it. You know, I might be the only one. It really depends. Yeah, there are There are a lot that I know of that are like in the mod and some that I don't. It's always nice to like find out about new creepypastas. You might not know this about me, but I really do like horror and all that. I've only really seen a couple of horror movies because not a lot of them really interest me. And there definitely are some horror stuff that I like. It really was back since like elementary school when I first found out about creepypasta. I think that's where it like started. And this one should probably take us until around 9 o'clock-ish, I want to say. What do we have next on our music?
I wanted my hepatitis
An
C.
ad!
I put off treating mine.
Gary. It's the theme from when you're, like, exiled. Put that up a little bit, because it is kind of quiet. There we go, that should be okay, right? I think so. Shouldn't really, like, drown out my voice or anything. Really, I'm just playing all of these from YouTube. A lot of them were like 10-hour versions, but I couldn't find regular like 30-minute, 15-minute extensions of most of them. Yeah, this last one is the final one I actually have on my list. Don't think I'll do any more afterwards, because I don't really want to go searching for one if I don't really know what it is. I'd rather read ones that I like know the content of. Read the ones that are good, not the ones that I don't know if they're good or not. Yeah, definitely know there are some that I like only know by like name. And others that I have read a little bit of, but never actually read the full thing. Yeah, so this next one should be our last one. Go ahead and read that one now, see where it leaves us once we finish it. So this next one and last one is going to be Easter Egg Snow on Mount Silver. It's one I only found out about recently. And it's not exactly because of the Hypnos Lullaby mod. I mean, it kind of is, because before they added Snow on Mount Silver as an actual, like, I guess level, there were mods replacing the gold from Monochrome with the Snow on Mount Silver Ethan. Yeah, this one This one, as far as I remember, gets pretty dark, so definitely gonna be some heavy stuff here. Let's just go ahead and start with this one. So, my brother and I, we kind of grew up on Pokemon. Around here, a lot of kids did. Worked out perfectly for us, too. Every time a new gen came out, one of us would get one version, one of us would get the other. If our mom would spoil us, we both got the third one. It was going to sound, at first, like a bittersweet story about two siblings who grew up with a couple of games that eventually take them down two different roads. Well, a little more than that. Years rolled by, we kept collecting. Games got old, replaced them. Cartridges finally gave out, picked up new copies. We started down two different completely rows before Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald came out. Around then, my brother got a Game Shark. Heard all the hacks and cheats you could do with them, even if they were kinda late to the party. Sounded awfully cool. First guinea pig cartridge was my brother's old blue version. We just fricked around with it a little bit, nothing major. Whatever we did, fricked the cartridge up. A couple of code entries that glitched out completely and became unplayable. Naturally, we were sucked at first. My brother mourned the loss of his hours of work, and I was sympathetic. Well, it's okay, we can replace it, I guess. The shark was a waste of money. Here our paths finally differed. Just seeing the method turn blue version 2, I'd become opposed to the idea of hacking or cheating any of my games. What can I say? I'm a chick. Feel feelings for the little pixel critters. At least with that Game Shark, my brother had taken his game destruction as a personal challenge or something. I don't think he ever played a game after that, which wasn't hacked somehow, but yeah, we played a crap ton of Pokemon, man. For us, there really wasn't much else to do. We lived way out in the country without many other kids, and ours didn't want us on their property, so we played Pokemon out on the lawn just about all day. Every day. Pretty awesome to us, at least. We lost the Game Shark when our rooms got moved around. New addition was built onto her house, and it disappeared in the midst of crap that got stuffed into the new closet. Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald arrived, and after playing through them once, we were both in agreement that they were definitely lacking in comparison to the last gen. We both tried another honest playthrough, and though we managed to finish, it left us both yearning for some good old-fashioned nostalgia. We're old gold, silver, and crystal cartridges, though. It's probably a month to dig through the boxes we've been too lazy to open up before. We finally did find one full of a crap load of our old electronics. No corporate Game Boy Color still worked. The red one could no longer hold batteries in place. Both of our GBs were fine, though, along with our snake lights and link cables. The one with the nifty little connector in the middle that I had always wrapped up oh so carefully to avoid fraying the wires and condemning it to the trash like our last cable. Both grabbed up everything we could. Oh, nice to have Yellow, which had been my first and most cherished game of any series, not just Pokemon, and Red and Gold back. We went through the motions of checking our old files, taking in all the old memories, and eventually we figured the Gen 1 stuff was just too nostalgic to get rid of. We restarted Gold, he restarted Silver. Immediately, he snatched the Game Shark out of the box and slipped it into the back of his JBA. I shook my head at him. I remember what I said to him. The thing will kill your game, you know. He never liked me preaching to him about abusing pixels in my mouth after that, but it put him off from playing with me. It was just one time too many or something. I don't know how to keep my thoughts to myself, really. A couple of days later that happened. I was on the porch, Game Boy in hand, just about to go into Elite Four when I realized I needed a little help. Thing was ill-balanced thanks to my playing through for leisure, and at that time was no great trainer that could pull off gimmick runs. And my brother had been 2 badges ahead of me when we last checked with one another, so I was hoping maybe he'd let me borrow a Pokemon or two, just for this run through. Now, the thing is, I'd spent the last 24 hours at a friend's place. I literally come home, dumped my bag in my room, and crept out onto the sun with my GBA to play. No idea what he'd been up to. All I knew he was done with the game and moved on to a new one. I figured. It was all for the better for me, since he wouldn't need those Pokemon, and I'd stand a better chance at nicking a few. So I got up and went into the house, and when I was crossing the living room, I noticed all of his Pokemon games laying on the floor. One of the cartridges has been mangled, like he's been hacked at with something sharp. Even his old blue version, one go dead and too sentimental to throw away. Flying with the plastic cut ragged, split almost halfway up one side. Fully unusable even more, even if it would have worked. I was a little scared. This had to have happened this morning, otherwise our mom would have seen and wouldn't be lying on the carpet. With my GBA into my pocket, I crept over to his room and found the door unlocked. Somehow that was even more concerning. Walked in and found my brother sitting on the edge of his bed. His GBA was in pieces on the floor at his feet, smashed to bits. Next to him on the bed were a hammer and mother's gardening scissors. This was paler than I've ever seen it, and whiter than the time we got into Corning in the old guy up the street. He was blind in a raving nutcase and come and chased us into the trees with a shotgun. And now I also noticed the Game Shark on the ground and a soda cartridge corner poking from under his bed. Now they instant spared from the wrath of this hammer. "Are you okay?" I asked. I remember the chills that ran through me. It was my little brother. Seeing him like that was horrifying. It was awful. I remember him rasping, and the way his voice rattled made my knees weak. White everywhere, and then black. I remember running over and hugging him. I remember his limp arm fell and brushed the Game Boy in my pocket. And the sun scream ran in my ear, making me jump and bite my tongue by accident. I ripped the handheld from my pocket and hurled it at the wall. Right out and at the dent the plastic system made there, running over to collect it. Screen had grown dark, and though I feared the worst when I flicked the switch, it powered up normally. Waiting there in the corner, trying to pretend the GBA mattered enough to not go and run for our mom. The volume was on. But one thing started up and screamed again, picking up the hammer. This time I screamed too and ran from the room with my GBA clutched to my chest like a shield. I ended up in the psych ward of the hospital for 2 days. I went to visit him and I left my GBA at home. No one could figure out what had set off the strange manic behavior. There was some talk that I didn't understand at the time about some kind of disorder he may or may not have had. Even though Mom and I had collected and brought in all the cut-up cartridges to be looked at, Mom's idea, not mine. No one had even thought to tie it back to the game. Maybe that was my fault. I hadn't said a word about what had happened when he accidentally touched my Game Boy, or the blind white terror he had been thrown into when the music had started. On my last visit to the hospital before school the second day, I was left alone in the room with him while Mom had some private talk with the doctor about precautions to take should this happen again. I sat in the chair next to the bed where he was staring at the ceiling, but then suddenly he sat up, made me flinch. "Hey," he told me. "Angie, go into my room when you get home." I didn't understand what he meant, and I remembered things we hadn't packed up and brought in. The game and the hacking tool under his bed. Get rid of them. I don't ever want to play with them ever again. His voice was so weary and desperate, sounded like an old man on his deathbed. My poor, damaged little brother. How could I refuse? Promise you'll get rid of them? Okay, I promise. I was carted off to school late, and through the whole day I only had my promise to him in my head. I didn't know it at the time, but this would be the last time I could ever play the big sister role and help him out. I had to get home and get rid of that game. As the day went on, a sick curiosity started to go through my own head. What could possibly have happened to that game that scared him so badly? I was scared myself, and just had to know. I had to. I got home and went right into his room, bent on uncovering whatever horror was waiting for me. Almost inspected the room, and the cartridge and Game Shark were no longer visible. Got down and crawled half under the bed, feeling timid but holding on to the promise I made as my badge of courage. On the bed, there was enough dust to make me cough, enough old Legos and various other toys that I couldn't set my elbow down without it landing on something. I finally saw both objects, and shoved to the corner, on top of a notebook that looked too new to have been down here long. I think I grabbed the corner of the paper and dragged everything out with me, still wheezing from the dust, allergies and all. It looked so innocent, simple toys and a simple spiral-bound bunch of papers. I set silver version and the Game Shark on the floor. I took a closer look at the notebook. On it was scrawled at least 20 different cheat codes, but none of them had been scratched out with Sharpie, where it had initially been drawn in with pen. It was confusing. He really had to erase it out. The marker had been pressed to paper so hard that ink soaked through most of the pages behind it, 2/3 of the way to the cardstock back cover. Pen has a way of sticking around. I picked up the notebook and tilted backwards in the light, and the reflective surface of the Sharpie revealed the indents that had been left where he'd written. It was an unintelligible mess of letters and numbers, but the words next to it confused me. Easter egg. Snow on Mount Silver. I remember what he had said when I found him. He'd been raving about it. White and black. Did it mean snow? Even though it was only August and the temperature was still climbing to 90 degrees every day. Chill ran down my spine. Did I dare? Picked everything up and brought it to my room and laid it on the carpet in front of me with my own GBA next to it. For a long time I just stared down at it, and the longer I looked, the more maniacal Lugia's face became on the sticker. Some sort of twisted grin. Like it was daring me to find out what had happened to my brother. I was a 14-year-old kid. Did I really want to tempt fate and risk ending up like him? But down to Lugia a while longer. I had to see. Slid gold out of my GB and stuck silver in its place. Took me almost 15 minutes to compose myself and turn it on. Started up normally, left the sound on low, too afraid what I might hear to keep it up the full way. I'm too curious to turn it on the whole way off. Tail screen was normal too, Lugia again, but somehow menacing despite my common sense telling me it was the exact same picture as every other time I started up the game. How could this be? I asked myself. And noticed that Easter egg. Didn't that mean that was coding already in the game? The menu came up still absolutely normal. Character was Blake with the mostly filled Pokedex, but timing was odd. 199.99. I knew he couldn't have been playing for that long. I barely logged 50 hours on my own game, and I was at the E4. I was playing slowly. Only a result of his hacking freaking up his file. Thought, well, whatever then. Game started up, and the first thing I noticed was a prolonged black screen. Took almost a minute for anything to change, and there was no sound at all. I saw the back of my neck was standing up already, but it was too late to turn back. Finally, a very dim sort of map came onto the screen. It looked like static. What was going on? I squinted down and realized with a fearsome pang that it was actually the Mount Silver map, but what I thought was static was heavily falling snow. This is where he had last saved the game. Picked his party. Very normal team for someone who'd been using Game Shark. Explosion, for Alligator, Meganium, Pidgeot, Tyranitar, and Lugia. All of 100 with bobbed moves. Typical for him. Something about the sprites was strange though. Seemed sullen in a way. Colors seemed washed out. Their expressions lacked the usual vigor they normally had. Chalked this up to missing pixels or something. Also due to the hacking. The map had brightened up just a smidgen when I closed out the start menu. The snow was somehow falling very heavily. Pixels danced across the screen so fast it was hard to see the little sprite that was my brother's character. Something was also off about him too. I checked the information, it was the same as the Pokemon sprites. But it was Radol, in fact. Now that I thought about it, he almost looked frostbitten. Stomach tightened and I turned and tried to move back down the mountain. Hit the bottom of the screen, words popped up. Finally a sound. Sprite hitting an invisible wall. I can't turn back now. That was unsettling. I went to my Pokemon and tried to use Pidgeot's flying ability. I can't fly in this, obviously referring to the snow. Frick this, I thought, going into his bag. It was an escape rope. Tried using it. Can't go back anymore. What's going on? Once again, I tried to walk back down the mountain. My horrid words changed every attempt. Can't run away. Can't go back down. I could never go back. Last one sent a frigid feeling through my heart. There was no way down the mountain. I had to climb. Spinning wheels sprayed around, I moved him forward. No resistance at all. My walking speed was oddly slow. What's really weird was the lack of grass, trainers of anything at all but that white snow. It still blew across the screen and made it almost impossible to see. As I moved further up the mountain, his walking speed became slower and slower. The static curtain of pixels grew thicker so that I could barely make out the features of the map. It seemed like the only way was to move straight ahead anyway, which would look like a set of stairs at the very top of the screen. I remember this being there before. Tried to move up, the little sprite paused. I'm cold. By now, even I was getting goosebumps. Walking speed had become painfully slow, as if somehow he was being impeded. There's a little staircase, more text on the screen. Meganium has died. What the frick, I thought. Pokemon don't die in these games. Checked my party and was frightened and confused by what I saw. Meganium's sprite had been replaced by a red X. All my other Pokemon spotted varying degrees of damage, though I hadn't battled once. I went to my bag and found a single revive and tried to use it. Too late, it said. What kind of Easter egg was this? There wasn't much else I could do, so trying to turn around and yield the same message as before, so kept moving. Jaws died. Checked again. Sure enough, there was a little red X. This time I selected and looked at Pokemon itself, trying to figure out what was wrong. Wish I hadn't. It was mangled. Pieces of it were missing. What was left was splashed with the sickish blue-gray color. Inside was a solid black pit. Looked down to mid game. Same deal. A leg missing, a chunk of its neck. Most of its head, save that pitch-black dead eye. More curiosity urged me forward. The path never deviated from the straight upward road I've traveled the entire time. Along the way, every now and then, one of the party Pokemon would die, and examination of its sprite would show it was in the same condition as the others. Till all that was left was SwSh. One more staircase was up ahead. Climbed it, braced for whatever horror awaited me. I hit the summit. It was deserted. Red was nowhere to be found. The snow had stopped falling. In the very center of the map was something sticking out of the snow. It looked like a Pokeball. Tame, maybe all this creepy stuff led up to some climatic final battle, using whatever was in there. I picked it up, maybe Red would come out of hiding. Walked over and examined it. It was just a burst of static noise from a game that made me jump. What appeared on the screen was a battle animation. A trainer sprite appearing, his vintage blue, against another mangled Pokemon sprite. It was Celebi. In the center of that black hole was its eye. A single red dot burned out like an ember. The thing looked rotted. It didn't even throw out my mostly dead Typhlosion before it had moved. Celebi used Parrot Song. Breach came out of my GBA. I almost dropped it as the screen went white. Part of me was relieved, thinking that my final Pokemon had been KO'd and I would be transported to a Pokemon Center, but I was wrong. Sprite reappeared with what looked to be a cave. Was I now inside the mountain? I took my trainer card and felt sick. It was just as bald as the Pokemon had been. Leg gone, a single eye remaining, pitch black and so on. So sad looking. Ears welled up at the corner, and every color of him was replaced by the 6 shades of frosty blue and gray. Every star on the card was reduced to 0 except the time. Bills read 99999. Quickly moved back to the map. Right there mimicked the horror it had become on the trainer card. Pieces were missing, everything was discolored. I started trying to walk, and at first I received a message. It's so cold. There's only one direction to go. Upward. I moved on, and every now and then it would be stopped by a message that made my heart sink lower and lower. Mother, if you're so cold, I can't go on. The walls, as I walked, became darker and darker until they were pitch black at the end. There was an exit there, marked only by a white outline. I had no other choice but to go through it. It opened into a chamber that was also solid white. The only way to distinguish the walls was a thin gray line that marked them as separate from before. Against the far wall there was another sprite. Red sprite, intact. Had I come this far? Had to finish this. Walked right up to him and hit A. ... Battle started. Red sprite had none of the deformities that marred my own. Those were just the same blues and grays, but he was intact. He just looked extremely sad. First Pokemon came out. Venusaur. Just like my own had been, but level 0 with a speck of health. Now Typhlosion, who had just 6 hit points left. No Pokemon made a sound when they were brought into battle. Venusaur used Struggle. No animation, just a single point of damage done to Typhlosion. And the opposing sprite dropped off the screen. Venusaur has died. There was no text asking me to switch out. It was just what looked to be dialogue from Red. ... The next Pokemon was Blastoise, and more mangled than Venusaur had been. It too struggled and died. For each round, there was that ominous ... from their trainer. Every sprite was more damaged than the last. The Espeon was barely distinguishable as a Pokemon. I realized somewhere he was sending them out all out of order. Save one Pokemon for last. Pikachu came out, and it was grotesque. It too was discolored like it was frostbitten. Missing an ear, half its body and tail. It was mostly intact, but its eyes were much larger than they should have been. Glared out at me like pitch black windows into heck. The thing that got me the most was the giant smile that extended all the way to the edges of its head. Health was somehow at 0, or at least it looked that way. Hands were shaking. I didn't get a chance to attack. Pikachu used Pain Split. Pikachu has died. Typhlosion has died. Got back to the image of Red Sprite. Now looked like mine. With his body so butchered it looked like a carcass stripped of most of its meat. It had the same soulless, deranged eyes as Pikachu. I only understood what had happened. They were dead. They were dead, and the sublevel of the mountain was the heck they now existed in. Red finally spoke. It's over. Screen flashed black and white for a moment. Used Destiny Bond. Horrible, hideous screeching started to issue from my GBA. Screen went white and it shrieked at me, threw to the floor, and pressed my back against the bed. Horrible noise continued for several long moments while the screen stayed white. It went black. Then there was silence. It took me a long few moments, but I eventually stood up. Took the Game Shark, took the notebook, took that freaking possessed game, them all up and carried them to the garbage can we had already set out for morning pickup. And they have a long, winding driveway. I threw them in. When I got back to the house, I don't know what made me do it. I picked up the yellow version and inserted it into my Game Boy. I think it was part of me determined to make sure I hadn't somehow been tainted as well. Music started up, game played, into my Pikachu and hit A. Smiley face greeted me with a near twitch and a big pixelated smile. Pleasant, normal smile. Turned my game off and spent the next hour crying on the floor. My brother and I never did play Pokemon together again. He gave it up for good, and I stuck to replaying my comforting, unhacked games. That winter, snow fell thick. And that's the final story. So yeah. Pretty good. Not too terrible. I feel like a lot of the better creepypastas come out of like, more like hack games than it is like haunted. But I feel like haunted games is really just like a cliche at this point with most creepypastas. This probably came out before like that was mainstream. Or maybe it was, because I think Ben Drowned was the first like gaming creepypasta. And then the rest followed suit. And I think like Possessed or Haunted game I should say, was probably the more popular choice than whatchamacallit. Like a hack game. Hack, ROM hack, something like that. Yeah, unfortunately, no shiny Trapinch yet. Up. Microsoft Outlook, why do you want to do stuff? I don't know why my computer needs to verify Microsoft Outlook every single time. In the middle of when I'm like streaming and everything. Because for some reason that just lags my computer. I do not have any egg slots. Yeah. I think I'll probably hatch up these last few Trapinch and then call it a day. Won't get any more. We can maybe continue this tomorrow. Have to see like just how many we actually got. Yeah, I'll just go out on the bridge and do some loops before everything to get them all hatched and everything. Then I can count up how many Trapinch we have. -3, because I already had 3 in there from when I tried this out before I was doing any streaming. They actually started to go for this before I started streaming, but never went through with it because at that point Legends Arceus came out and there's a bunch of other stuff and didn't really have time for it. And that's number 2. I think I'll just leave it on the distortion music for now. The only other music I had was actually from Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. They're just in there as a, you know, just in case we run through the others too quick. Yeah, I'll have to, first of all, gather all the Trapinch up into one single box. How many more do we have left? I think 1 or 2? Just 1. Alright. I might end it on, like, an even number if we don't have an even number. Yeah, just normal Trapinch. Alright. Yeah, let me go ahead and... Yeah, there we go. And get all the Trapinch from here. Just enough room. Look in there, what are you doing? Let's go here. Man, this is gonna take a little bit. Won't it? Probably should have made sure these were all where they needed to be before I actually started hunting. And there. Yeah, alright. So, right here, I have 1, 2, 3. That's 90. And then 120 minus 4. It's 116. No, I'll get 4 more eggs. Hatch those, and then we'll end it off. Just to get it on an even number. Who knows, we might actually get a shiny in this one. In this little batch. There's 1. Two. And then... 3. And we should be able to get this last one. There we go. 4. Now let's hatch these. See if we can get anything at all. It'd honestly be a miracle at this point if we actually managed to get the shiny in these last few. Really hope we do. Yeah, tomorrow and next Monday are just going to be variety nights. They don't want to start anything new before Frontiers comes out. I'd rather only have to balance 2 games instead of 3. That traffic is normal. That traffic is normal. Which is all hatched like relatively quickly. Look at this flame body. Number 3 is... normal. And what's behind egg number 4? Last one? And... normal. Alright. Okay, let me just do a double check on most of these. Oh wait. Never actually put them in the box? Alright, well, guess we have 125. 126. Never mind. This one there. Nope, nope, nope. Say, like, right next to it, right? Yeah. Switch over to the next box. Pretty sure we don't have one. I think I would have noticed. Yeah, nothing here. Alright, let me actually go into this box. Yeah, unfortunately, didn't get what I was looking for, but no, I'll continue this tomorrow. If we manage to get it quick enough, I might go for more resets on Arceus, but depends on how quickly we get it. Yeah, so thank you to everyone who stopped by, anyone who might have followed. My next stream is going to be tomorrow. I guess some more of this. We'll see. But yeah. Don't have anyone to raid. Let you all scatter. But thank you all for coming, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye!